And the Milwaukee Bucks, who have been at the top of the East in the regular season for the last 2 years, who have a, I think, franchise pivoting move to make in the decision of Giannis Antetokounmpo. Giannis, I still can't say it.
Greek freak.
I'm
Giannis
safe
zone.
Antetokounmpo.
Bobby,
Giannis.
baby, it's a boy.
I call him. Listen, I learned how to say.
You don't have your notepad.
I don't have my notepad. All right, forget it. It's just Giannis.
Uiagalelei.
Yeah. Uiagalelei. But I still can't say Antetokounmpo. Anyway, they got to sign him, and whether or not he's going to sign with them, this is along the same lines of superstars that want out, force their way out. Anthony Davis forced his way out. Kawhi Leonard forced his way out. Paul George forced his way out. Carmelo Anthony years ago forced his way out. So it is Giannis going to force his way out. And much like the Pelicans did with Anthony Davis, they tried to put as many veteran pieces around him to convince him to stay, which did not work for the Pelicans. Will it work for the Bucks? We'll see, because they did add Jrue Holiday and they did add Bogdan Bogdanović from Sacramento. So they have put together a starting five that can rival pretty much anybody in the league. But enough about the Bucks. I'm more concerned about the Pelicans and what they got in this trade. And what they got in this trade is 3 first-round picks, 2 potential pick swaps, and Eric Bledsoe and George Hill, 2 veteran guards. This, on the surface, looks an awful lot like it's got a lot of the same characteristics as the Anthony Davis trade. You have 3 first-round picks. You have a couple of pick swaps, potential pick swaps. Now, in the difference is, and then you got very good players. The difference is that in the Lakers trade, you got very young players, and in this trade, you have veteran players, leading me to believe that they are not done dealing yet and that these 2 veteran players could yet be on the move, but we'll see. Bledsoe is 30, has, I would call it a somewhat bulky contract. It's not completely unmanageable, but it's up there. And George Hill, who is 34, who has a completely manageable contract. First trivia, where'd Eric Bledsoe go to college?
Kentucky.
Yeah, where'd George Hill go to college?
No clue.
Ooey Pooey.
Oh, high five that one. Ooey Pooey,
I've been waiting all morning for that.
IUPUI.
Oh, George Hill went to Ooey Pooey.
Nice.
So you've got an enormous amount of draft capital. Starting tomorrow night, you've got 2 picks now in the first round. Or are you looking to move up into the lottery to the 4th pick with Chicago or the 6th pick with Atlanta? And there's a very good chance that that's exactly what David Griffin is going to try to do. If all of that falls through, there are worse things than adding Eric Bledsoe and George Hill to your current roster with all of this draft capital coming behind you. Listen, Holiday was a very good player. He was a borderline all-star, and his defense is as good as anybody in the league. Right. Yes. But honestly, they just got, I think, pretty close to a superstar price for a guy who is very good but is not quite a superstar. I thought they did very well. Now, they're going to eventually have to start turning all of this draft capital into dudes.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? Not guys, dudes.
Yeah, not potential, but proven dudes.
And honestly, they've got too many draft picks to use them all.
Yeah.
So this means that the next, other than the Bledsoe and Hill pieces, who, if they're going to go out, would go as maybe part of a package. I think the next trade you're going to see with the Pelicans is more picks for a higher pick, a 2 for 1, a 3 for 1 if you're going really high in the lottery, and it might be this year, it might be next year, I don't know, but I think this is about as good a package as you could get. If it wasn't going to be Michael Porter Jr. from the Nuggets, who they had kind of taken off the board, and it wasn't going to be a package from Miami that included Tyler Hero, who they had pretty much taken off the board, then the next thing you're looking at, they might have done a deal with New Jersey that included 1 or 2 players, but Karis LeVert was
I didn't love any of them.
No, I would have done the deal for Porter in a heartbeat.
Yes,
I love his game. Hero had such a strong rookie season, especially in the postseason, that was intriguing, but Miami didn't want to move him. So once you get past those two things, then you're looking for, well, how much draft capital can I pull back?
Right.
And they got an awful lot. It is not without risk. If the Bucks take this lineup and go win a championship and Giannis resigns, these picks are not going to be high at all. You are rolling the dice. You'll still get first-round picks. You'll just get them at the end of the first round, and those picks are not terribly valuable, to be honest. I mean, you got to kind of get a little bit lucky to get a real solid piece at the back of the first round. But if it doesn't, and Giannis decides to sign somewhere else, and all of a sudden the Bucks go back to being the old Bucks, well, then these picks could become very valuable. So I like the trade. I think they did what they could here, and it's got an enormous ceiling to it.
And you can find value in taking these picks, taking your own pick, and maybe moving somewhere else in the draft, right? Because in the NBA, it's not like other drafts. I mean, you start getting towards the end of the first round, then you're talking about guys that might be in the G League. A lot of times they do start the season in the G League. So if you have two of those picks and you feel like I can move into the lottery, even if you're on the outside, then that's where I think their thinking is, because they've got so much capital right now. I mean, you're talking about picks all over the place, the right to swap all these picks. And who knows, in 2025, when you can swap with the Lakers, if LeBron's still there, they might be tanking because all their stars are gone.
LeBron be 41.
Yeah. And who knows? The way he likes to pick up and move, I mean, who knows where they're at. So you might have some picks that have some real juice to them, but even if you don't, you still own all of your first-round picks from this year all the way until 2027 if you're looking down the road at some of these other picks. So you can package those together. You can move some picks here and there. So I like all of that. And I'm not completely opposed to them keeping some of these veteran players, right? Bledsoe's a guy that averaged 15 points a year ago. He might can give you something. Now, if you can get something back for him, maybe get a little bit younger, okay. But I do think this team needs some veterans on it. They're a very young basketball team outside of J.J. Redick. And if you can add someone who can be a scorer. Now, Bledsoe's defense is never going to be confused with Jrue Holiday's, but still, I don't mind if they keep some of these pieces because they have enough draft capital as it is.
They could, and I wouldn't hate that. There's a couple things in play there. Number one, do those guys want to be there? These are veteran guys. The Pelicans are not a championship contender next year. Do they want to stick around? The other thing is that Hill has flirted with the idea of retirement. He's only 34, but he's kind of hinted around that he could hang it up. The first round picks that they're getting, one of them is from Indiana. That's the one tomorrow night. Yep. That's 24. The other two are not, according to the reports. Now, all of these things have to become official, but they're not until 25 and 27. They're unprotected. Mm-hmm. Giannis could do a deal. They could win the NBA championship next year, and it doesn't mean that by the time they get to 25 and 27 that they're still going to have a championship core. That's a long time from now. Giannis could sign deals similar to what LeBron has signed, to what Kawhi Leonard has signed, which is, look, I'm going to give you 2 years guarantee, but I gotta make sure you're going to do everything I want.
Yeah.
I think that this sets the franchise up with a very good young core, a superstar, maybe two, and as much draft capital between now and 2027 as anybody besides Oklahoma City.
Right.
That's good. That's good. That is far thinking. That you're going to be better now, and you're going to be the potential to be a championship club that can sustain that maybe.
And who knows who you can entice to come to New Orleans now, because you
want to package these picks, sure.
Well, yeah, I mean, you've got new coach that is very player friendly from everything we've heard, right? You've got a great front office now, and you have a star. You have the guy on all the Gatorade commercials. You have the guy on all the Nike commercials. Yeah. Well, people want to play with him because you know what? They know eyeballs are going to be on Zion every time he takes the court. So that might bring somebody to New Orleans that before you could never get there. And I'm talking about even with Anthony Davis, because Anthony Davis is an absolute superstar, but I think Zion, and we've seen him grow up in the AAU circuit, and he becomes this just guy that probably we will never see again, or it will be 20 years, but because of the way he's built and the way he plays basketball, and everybody kind of wants to be a part of Zion Williamson. So who knows who you can entice to, come to New Orleans, even though they're not ready for a championship right now. So that's something that I think that the Pelicans absolutely know, and who knows who they could end up bringing with some of these picks to New Orleans.
Oleh Kosel from the Bird writes he's our Pelicans guy, and he will be with us when we come back from our first break. We'll get his take on the trade and the upcoming draft tomorrow night in the NBA. We got some stuff from Coach O later on in this hour. We are brought to you by Richards Honda, home of the warm and fuzzy feeling. Hanging with Hester and Hanny, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Hanging with Hester and Hanny.
So have you turned the heater on yet? You know, where temperatures are starting to drop a little bit. Have you gotten your heater checked? Probably hadn't been on in a while. So, you know, if you were in the program with our friends over at Tiger Air, you would get this automatically. Twice a year, they're going to come in and check your unit. And if you ever do have any problems with it, you're going to get priority service. You know how important that is in the middle of the summer if your air conditioner goes out, or in the middle of the winter if your heater goes out. Knowing you have that priority service with Tiger Air is invaluable.
You're absolutely right. Go to tiger-air.com for more information on that comfort assurance protection plan that Hanny tells you about. You're going to save so much money. Yes, you're going to get discounts on parts and labor. You're going to get that emergency and priority service, both at a discounted rate, but lower utility bills. This is going to save you money each and every month. Tiger-air.com. Pick up the phone, give them a call as well. Ask them about that comfort assurance protection plan at 225-754-8687.
We opened up the playbook and expanded our coverage. Listen daily in high definition on 98.1 HD2. We are 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is a local bank with a straightforward philosophy.
It's about doing the right thing for our customers.
Participating in our community with annual local fundraisers. Offering individual attention in a modern banking atmosphere with a trusted local company. Gulf Coast Bank invested in technology with a local touch, giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime.
We're building relationships through personal service as the bank that cares about you.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
This is a house call. This is a follow-up appointment. This is a diabetes checkup. This isn't just more convenient care, it's more advanced care. This is innovating healthcare at Louisiana's #1 hospital, Ochsner.
T-Bob Hebert here with breaking news. Front to Back Boat Services is the shop to upgrade your boat tech this fall. With not one but two NMEA certified techs, who better to install your Panoptic sonar, your HD displays. You want to see the fish under the water before you even cast? They have that. Trolling motor you could control with your iPhone? They have that. So what are you waiting for? Get into Front to Back Boat Services right now. Upgrade your boat tech. Make your boating dreams come true. Front to Back Boat Services.
You may not know about the 4Kids Foundation, but you've probably heard of the Zurich Classic. And the Zurich Classic exists because of 4Kids. But it's what happens after the tournament that really counts. 100% of the proceeds are donated by the 4Kids Foundation to hundreds of local charities, totaling more than $40 million, all to help local children and families in need. 4Kids helps kids through golf, because every child deserves a shot at a brighter future.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Are you a licensed contractor? There's lots of good contractors in Louisiana doing work the right way, but unfortunately, too many unlicensed contractors are working outside the licensing requirements. Working as a contractor in Louisiana requires a license for the company doing the work. The Louisiana State Licensing Board for Contractors wants to help you get licensed to allow you to conduct work legally. It's not difficult to get the license. We can help you. Go to lacontractor.com.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona inviting you to join us for Tuesday's AFR, presented by Insurance Network of Louisiana. The latest on Drew Brees' injury. Larry Holder will join us, and we'll start previewing LSU in Arkansas. Join us 3 to 6, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Hangin with Hester and Hanny on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge and 1130 The Tiger.
We're brought to you by Richard's Honda, home of the warm and fuzzy feeling. And we bring in our friend Oleh Kosel from the Bird Rights to talk about the Jrue Holiday trade. Oleh, good afternoon. How are you?
I'm doing well. Still trying to unfold through this gigantic news headline that hit us late last night.
Yeah, we knew it was coming, that they were going to move him. It was just a matter of to who and for what. So what's your take on the trade?
I love it from several perspectives. Number one, you like seeing Jrue Holiday going to a potential contender. You've got to consider the Bucks may once again be considered the favorite to win the final. So for him, after enduring 7 long years here in New Orleans, where there was a lot more leaner years than the good ones, you like to see that for a guy who was honestly always a class act and represented the city well. But from the New Orleans perspective, you honestly like it because David Griffin has maintained one thing, and he wanted to keep the flexibility for this team until their championship window opens. With Zion just coming off a rookie season where he's only played 20 games, Brandon Ingram making his first All-Star game, it's not tomorrow yet. So they still have probably a few years left. So you just like it from the perspective that they're going to be able to add almost whoever they want to this team with all those assets. Now when you combine with what they got from Milwaukee to the Lakers, really they'll be able and be in good position to grab the next superstar that becomes available for whenever they want to chase them.
You get a couple of veteran players in Bledsoe and Hill from the Bucks, of course, along with the draft choices. Do you expect them to be with the team whenever they start the season, or is this a case where you can see them being moved as well?
Oh, I think without a doubt we're going to see one moved between now and whenever the picks come up, starting tomorrow. So I expect at least one of Bledsoe or Hill to be moved for sure, maybe even both. You've got to think with Lonzo Ball in town and the Pelicans obviously kind of revealing the hand by moving off of Jrue Holiday. They're not going to keep these two guys who are honestly lesser players than Jrue, just simply trying to win now with them. So no, one of them is definitely going to go, maybe even two.
You've got 20 and 24 tomorrow night. Do you think that the Pelicans are targeting somebody somewhere mid-lottery and a trade that would make sense, Chicago, Atlanta, or fill me in on if there's somebody else, if you think there's somebody that the Pelicans have their eye on?
I absolutely do think they're looking at one player with in mind. There's been rumors now for weeks that they've been wanting to move up in this draft. And this is not a loaded draft. So obviously, if they have one candidate, they're only going to have one swing at him. So they got to move up into that position to grab him. So yeah, either they're going to combine both of those 2 draft choices in the first round, maybe even throw in number 39, which they still have in the second round, or combine some of these picks with maybe one of Bledsoe or George Hill and package them up and move up to, like you mentioned, those are the 2 picks I'm looking at, either 4 or 6, but you also can't rule out maybe the Pistons at 7 or the Knicks at 8, because both of those teams are looking to improve their rosters as well.
Well, don't keep me in suspense. Who do you think it is that they want?
Yeah, I've got 2 guys circled, and I'm going to write about that tonight and post it tomorrow. Number 1 on the board is Onyeka Okongwu. He's a freshman center out of USC. I think he would make for a perfect fit at the 5 with a team that needs a great rebounder, needs a great rim protection and defense, alongside a team that's got the 2 cornerstones in B.I. and Zion. For as great as they are offensively, they are woefully underperformed or have underperformed so far defensively. So you need to get somebody that can basically, lock it down for Stan Van Gundy team. If it's not going to be Okongwu, then maybe they will go after Patrick Williams, another freshman, but he's out of Florida State, 6'8", and he'd be a perfect wing defender to slide in right in between Ingram and Zion to guard the LeBron Jameses, Kawhi Leonards of the world.
Real quick, I want to ask you a follow-up before we move on about Patrick Williams, because this is someone who has worked out for teams as high as number 2 with Golden State. He's worked out for the number 4 pick in the Chicago Bulls. This is a guy that seems like his draft stock is kind of rising here late in the draft process. Is that someone that you think is even going to be there where the Pelicans can get to?
I do. I don't think he's going to go any earlier than 6. I think the top 3 are locked in. LaMelo Ball, Wiseman, and Edwards. And then Chicago at 4 is really rumored to be looking at Denby Adbidia. And number 5, Cleveland is looking at Obi Toppin or another big. They really want to get somebody to man the middle since they got two good guards. So I'm thinking number 6. They got to get up to number 6 to really be sure that they're going to grab the guy they want.
There were rumors also, Oleh, that the Pelicans had their eye on Denny Avdija from Israel. Would it be too costly? I mean, Lord knows they've got enough picks if they want to go up that high, but they'd probably have to go to 4 to get him.
They would have to go, but you know what I question is his fit. I know that he can defend a little bit and guard the rim enough, but I just, for the life of me, just like I would if the Pelicans, they would have traded for Michael Porter Jr., how does that work defensively? Right? Ingram, Zion, and then either Denny or a guy of his caliber defending in, Stan Van Gundy teams. You're going to have at least, I think, one elite defender, and Avdija's not that guy. For as good of a playmaker as he is, he also has the liability of not having a good shot. So I think there's just more questions than answers with him.
Hey, we've asked a lot of questions about who we think the Pelicans will draft, who's going to be available. I want to ask you, what do you think they need to draft? What is their biggest need considering what they have on their roster right now? And I know it's kind of hard with Bledsoe and Hill potentially being on the move, but what's the biggest question mark?
Biggest question mark is just improving the team's defense. So, like I said, either you got to grab a guy at center position, number 5, or a big wing at the 3-4. You got to grab one, I think, for sure. Whether that's moving up in the draft or looking for somebody at 13 if they stay there. So if they don't move up, you hope then for a guy like Devin Vassell to drop to you. Maybe you take a chance on Sadiq Bey, coming out of Villanova, who, as we know, there's great players always coming out of there that are ready to play now, that'll give you that effort and all-around goodness that, teams are looking for.
Oleh, have you actually put it to paper how many picks the Pelicans have in the first round between now and 2027?
I have not actually counted them all up, but I just know it's a boatload.
It's 2. It's 2 this year. It's 2 next year. It's 2 in 22. It's potentially 2 in. I know there's a pick swap year in there I'm missing. It's 2 in either 24 or 25 with the Lakers, and it's 2 in 25 and 27 or one extra with the this trade now in Milwaukee in 25, and another one in 27. So this is multiple first-round picks, and if I'm doing this right, 6 of the next 8 years with the potential for pick swaps in at least 3 of the other ones?
That seems about right. I
Okay.
just know it's a lot,
Yeah.
right? David Griffin's going to have his choice, guys. If it's a great draft and he sees the talent he wants, he'll grab it. If not, he's going to package that up.
They're going to be able to use all their scholarships. They've got more scholarships than they've got seats on the bench. It's an exciting time for the Pels, I think, to be able to move into this draft and have this kind of capital and this kind of, I think, clear direction with where they're going. We'll follow it at thebirdrights.com. All you guys are doing a great job of covering the trade, obviously, and going into the draft tomorrow night. So we'll check back in with you after we see what unfolds tomorrow night in the draft.
Absolutely. Thanks, guys. And I'm sure the excitement is not over yet.
Yeah, I'm excited to see what's going to happen because I can't tell you for sure. I think there's multiple scenarios here, and that does make it fun to watch. Oleh, thanks. Enjoy the day.
Absolutely. Take care, guys.
Oleh Kosel with thebirdrights.com. We'll take a break here, hanging with Hester and Hanny, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Hanging with Hester and Hanny.
GMFS Mortgage, GMFSmortgage.com. Their motto is changing lives. Well, how do they do that exactly? Well, every month you've got a budget, and that budget likely includes a mortgage or your rent. It's most likely your biggest expense. That's the way it is for most Americans. Wouldn't it be great if that number was a little bit lower, or if the amount of time that you were paying that number was a little bit shorter? Well, those things are a real possibility. What you do is you check with GMFSmortgage.com, and you'll sit with a qualified local counselor. Say, hey, listen, what are your goals? How long do you want to be in the home that you're in, whether you're renting or you're looking to buy for the first time, or you're looking to upgrade, you're looking to upsize? All of those things are a possibility. Maybe you want to stay where you are and a construction loan is what you want. Start at gmfsmortgage.com and do what I did. Do what thousands of others have done. Have your life change in a positive manner financially every single month. Start it today at gmfsmortgage.com.
Saints coverage, Chiefs, Cowboys, Thursday night, Sunday night, and Monday Night Football. From the opening kickoff to the playoffs and the Super Bowl, the NFL lives on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
To the heroes who are working tirelessly to care for our communities, we thank you. We will never forget the countless hours you dedicated on the front lines, choosing to risk your own health to fight for our friends, neighbors, and family members.
I mean, you guys are out on the front lines fighting it.
We are grateful for your heroic acts and unwavering spirit. Together, we are overcoming this adversity and make our state healthier and more vibrant again. Ochsner Health.
If I built a van, it would do more than haul.
It would carry my entire business. I'd make it available in dozens, if not thousands of configurations.
It would keep an eye on my fleet.
And an eye out for danger.
If I built a van, I'd make it available in diesel and gas. And I'd build it right here in South Carolina.
Introducing the all-new Sprinter, starting at $33,790. Built in the USA. Mercedes-Benz. Vans. Born to run.
Are you a licensed contractor? There's lots of good contractors in Louisiana doing work the right way, but unfortunately, too many unlicensed contractors are working outside the licensing requirements. Working as a contractor in Louisiana requires a license for the company doing the work. The Louisiana State Licensing Board for Contractors wants to help you get licensed to allow you to conduct work legally. It's not difficult to get the license. We can help you. Go to lacontractor.org for more information. Licensed contractors, it's the law.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is a local bank with a straightforward philosophy.
It's about doing the right thing for our customers.
Participating in our community with annual local fundraisers. Offering individual attention in a modern banking atmosphere with a trusted local company. Gulf Coast Bank invested in technology with a local touch, giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime.
We're building relationships through personal service as the bank that cares about you.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
At All-Star Toyota, you get it all. If you're in the market for an all-new Toyota vehicle, come see our friendly and knowledgeable sales team at All-Star Toyota. Located in Baton Rouge at the corner of Airline and Goodwood, we've been serving our community since 2005 by offering a large selection of new Toyota cars, trucks, and SUVs. Get behind the wheel of your dream car and take a test drive at All-Star Toyota today.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
Coming up on Wednesdays Off the Bench, we'll look forward to LSU Arkansas and Saints Falcons, Sans Drew Brees. Plus, Booger McFarland stops by to talk NFL and Tigers, and a brand new Would You Rather Wednesday. Off the Bench, 104.5 ESPN.
Hangin' with Hester and Hanny on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge and 1130 The Tiger.
So there's two stories I wanted to get to in college football here in the first hour, because I think that if you took these stories and you took the names out, you could probably just replace the names and the teams next week and do the exact same stories just with different players and teams. So the first story is at South Carolina, where J.C. Horn and Israel Mukuamu have opted out for the NFL draft. Well, this was less than 2 days after Will Muschamp was fired. South Carolina's not going anywhere. Those guys have got enough film down that their draft status is probably not likely to change a whole heck of a lot in 3 or 4 games of play. So they have said thanks, but no thanks. Mike Bobo, the interim coach, also announced that there were 2 other players who are going to opt out for the rest of the season. They've got 3 games left on their schedule. The possibility of a bowl game you don't need a record this year, so I don't know if they would want to do that or not. I'm not going to get into the bowl season, but they lose 4 more guys. But this is not COVID related. This is, hey man, this is not for me. I'm done. But it is the thing, Jacob, that the irregularity of the season has made a possibility. I don't think in a normal season that guys are going to opt out with 3 or 4 games to go. When we get back to a normal schedule, I don't think we're going to see guys opting out at Halloween if they have, if they're going to the draft the next year, even if their team is not in contention. I think they've always played it out. Now, the bowl games, that's different. You sit out the bowl game if you're going to a smaller bowl. But this year, they're saying, okay, this is not going to be held against you. In a normal year, this is going to be held against you. Like, wait, you quit? You quit with a month to go? No, I'm not gonna. I'm gonna hold that against you. That's gonna be on the negative side of the ledger when I come to make my draft evaluation. This year, it's really not.
It's like when players started to sit out bowl games. It was, is this going to be held against them? And then now it became such a thing that is almost the norm for star players that aren't playing in a championship, because not even New Year's Six games anymore. And NFL teams probably at the beginning of it were like, they're doing what? No, that they're quitting on their team. That's going to be a negative mark. Now it's like, all right, who's playing in the bowl game? Who's sitting out? Almost like, just let us know who's doing it.
It had to be somebody significant at the beginning for it not to be counted against them. And it was McCaffrey and Fournette. And they both went in the top 10. Okay, you can get by with that. What you're seeing now is players that are not first. Horns may probably be a first-round pick, but these other 3 kids are not. Okay, you're just going to take out the rest of the year. You know what? We're going to let it go. COVID, whatever. There's so many of them that if you hold it against all of them, you're going to have half your draft board, marked up. So I think you get away with it this year. I hope, though, that when we get back into a normal season, we don't see this mass exodus of players off of, say, 4-4 teams at the beginning of November. I hope that's not what I want. I don't think that's what anybody wants. I mean, if they do, they do. But if it's really high draft picks, if it's, top 10 guys, I guess I understand it. But for the rest of them, I hope that this does not become the norm. But in this year, look, next week, probably later this week, we may end up doing this story with other players.
I truly hope it doesn't become the norm, because I could not stress to the guys enough, and you've heard me say this already in our 6 months together probably 10 times. Played longer in the NFL than I did at LSU. If you gave me the opportunity, I would run out of Tiger Stadium 100 times out of 100 before I played anywhere in the NFL. And I enjoyed my time in the NFL. I had a lot of fun. College football is special. The pageantry, just everything that goes around college football, the pride that you're always going to have in that school. Like, I root for the Chargers now, but when they lose, it doesn't ruin my Sunday.
Good thing.
Very good thing. But if LSU loses on a Saturday, it ruins my Saturday. It ruins my Sunday. So you get what I'm saying? So I hope that they say, you know what, we're going to play every opportunity we get to play in that place, because it's a special place. And you know what? We're 6-3 in a normal year. This game, I'm done. I'm going to be a first rounder, second rounder, whatever it might be. I hope that this year is the unique situation and it doesn't become what everybody just anticipates that stars are going to do.
You're going at it from an emotional level because you played. I'm gonna take another tact at it and say, from the business standpoint, if this hurts you, less players will do it. Sitting out the bowl game is one thing. Sitting out the last month of the season, I think, is a much bigger deal. In a normal season, not this season. I'm anxious to see, frankly, what Derek King, using the transfer rule, the redshirt rule, the way he did, how NFL teams are going to
looks a lot
react
different
to
now
that.
than it did when he did it.
Well, he's an outstanding player. That really wasn't in question. He was an outstanding player at Houston. Are they going to say, is this guy, is it going to come into a general manager's thinking, if this guy's in a free agent year or in a contract year and we're 5-5 with 6 games to go, and he's like, man, you know what? My leg hurts. You have to put me on injured reserve and pay me in because I got 1 foot out the door. I don't know if that's going to play in or not. I think King is a good player, a good prospect. He's not the number 1 player, and he's not Lawrence or Fields or Lance or any of those guys, but he's somebody that you're certainly going to look at. I don't know if they're going to hold that against him or not. The other story is the ACC has reshuffled their football schedule. We talked about this last week with a number of our guests, and Greg Sankey, the commissioner of the SEC, addressed it over the weekend that this weekend's games are ready to go. After that, hold what you got. Let's see what it looks like. So the Miami Hurricanes have had their next 3 games rescheduled as a result of coronavirus issues. This, in turn, has forced several other games to be moved. Wake Forest has had to move a game with Louisville. North Carolina's had to move their non-conference game up, and Louisville's got to move a game with Boston College back a little bit later in the schedule. Don't be surprised if you see something similar in the SEC next week or the week after. Not quite a blank sheet of paper, but close if it comes down to how many games do we have to move. Well, LSU needs to move this game. Hang on. Florida got to move games. Ole Miss got to move games. Potentially Alabama's got to move games. The whole puzzle's got to fit together.
I mean, what times we're in right now that Ole Miss's AD last night, it's like, yeah, we'll find out tomorrow if we're playing State or LSU. It's like, what? Like, we're going to find out, in game week, we're going to find out which team because of COVID numbers that you are going to play this. I mean, it's nuts. It's insane. Like, that's unthinkable before this all started.
2020 is unthinkable.
And so now, like, doing this doesn't even seem like a big deal. If we did this last year, if LSU finished up with Ole Miss, Arkansas, and A&M, whatever order, and we're like, hey, we're gonna tweak this a little bit. We would do 3 hours on nothing but that. But in this year, just like we said at the beginning of this, when Louisiana Tech called BYU, hey, what y'all got on Saturday or Friday? What y'all got coming up? Let's play. It's like, what? A couple days before but that's what this is. And so even in game week, we don't know who's going to play. So honestly, it's not a big deal. I fully expect the SEC to do this.
It's almost like, I don't know, playing the Masters in November, right? Who would have thought? This you know what this week is? I was thinking about this while we were talking with Oleh. This is the first week in July, as far as the NBA is concerned. The trade moratorium. You're about to have the draft. Last week in June, first week in July. This is that time where you can after the finals, but before the before the draft, where you can start to make trades, and then right after that, the free agent signings. For the next 2 weeks, you're essentially replacing the last week in June, the first week in July of the NBA calendar. And they're moving right along.
This is a completely loaded question that there's no way you can probably answer in 2 minutes, or maybe you can. You've been doing this a long time. Does the schedule on all of this just reset one day and we're back to normal, or are we forever changed in almost everything that we're doing? And I mean, like, start times, finish times.
You're talking about the NBA, you're talking about everything.
Really sports in general, because I feel like the NBA's changed forever. I feel like the NFL, they've stayed really kind of what they've always had, even having their draft during a quarantine when nobody else was really allowed to do anything. I think they stay the same. College football, I think, changes a little bit. Major League Baseball, I think there's changes. NBA, for sure, I think there's changes.
I think the NBA is going to take a long, hard look. See, this season is not normal. The 2021 season, they're back at 72 games. Do I think they're going to take a look at moving the start of the season back into December and have the finals later in the summer? Yes, I do. I think there's a really good chance that will happen. For the NFL, I think the biggest changes you're going to see are in the preseason and the postseason. I think that you're going to see the preseason shortened. You're going to potentially forever. If they can make up that money with 1 or 2 more playoff teams, maybe 8 teams becomes the norm in the playoffs if they have to do that this year.
Yeah.
And certainly I would be surprised if we ever went back to a 4-team preseason again. They were looking to do that before COVID even started.
That's dumb anyways.
They were trying to get that done anyway. So, yeah, I think the preseason and the postseason. For baseball, I think you're going to see more of the 7-inning doubleheaders in the interest of giving the players more days off. I think that's something that the union wants. I think they consider that an equitable trade without having to shorten the season back to 154 games or something like that. That the compromise will be you will see maybe one of these 7-inning doubleheaders per month to give the players 6 more days off in the regular season.
I am like a baseball purist. People who have listened to me for 3 years on this network know. I love the fact that the pitcher hit in the National League, and I love all the 162 games. We got to figure this thing out. But I do think that this showed the cream's still going to rise to the top in most cases in baseball. When you look at the Braves and the Dodgers, that's 2 teams that a lot of people had there, right? When you look at the Rays getting there, nobody was really surprised. I know they do it a different way, but a lot of people had the Rays winning that amount of games. I think now you're not going to go to what they just did without question, but you could see some shortened things in baseball.
College football, I think the big change is you're going to see a clamoring for more conference games. No.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
No. Now, you said, well, are they're gonna acquiesce to that? Well, it's not an easy question because you're not asking one person. You're not asking a commissioner. You're asking 5 commissioners of the Power 5,
right,
and 5 other commissioners, and 115 university presidents and athletic directors. So I think there is going to be a clamoring for more conference games. I think it's going to come from the networks. I think the colleges will eventually have to cave because they're all going broke, and the TV networks are where you can recoup some of this revenue. I'm not saying that the SEC is going to go to 10 conference games next year, but I think that you're going to see a movement in that direction. We want less of LSU Akron and more of LSU South Carolina. How'd I do? 2.5 minutes, not bad.
That's actually pretty good. Like I said, you've been doing this a long time. One last point. I've enjoyed the fact that SEC games have happened this year and not a lot of the other stuff, because it's given SEC fans the opportunity to see some matchups that they don't see very often.
Sure.
That we don't just get because of the
the
bad scheduling that you and I have talked about in length. Yeah. That we just the fact that there's so many players that if it wouldn't have been for a hurricane that have still not been to Mizzou, and they've been in the conference for 8 years. Yeah. Like when I played, you would miss one stadium. I told you yesterday I missed South Carolina, but now you've got multiple recruiting classes that miss going to Mizzou, and that's just one example. Obviously, there's others that other schools could point to that they've never been in 2 recruiting classes, never been to this place. You're in the same conference. Like that can't happen. You've got to have a better rotation.
We'll look at these schedules 20 years from now and go, did they really used to do that? Did they really used to eschew the idea of a Georgia playing a Texas A&M so that Georgia could play the Citadel? Did they really do that 3 times a year? What do you mean they used to smoke on airplanes? Yeah, they used to smoke on airplanes.
It's a great example.
Okay, you did that? Are you crazy? No, we're not doing that anymore. That's how we'll look back.
I'm going to quote you on that and probably steal it, actually. Never mind. Not giving you quotations.
Hanging with Hester and Hanny, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Hanging with Hester and Hanny.
All right, we're brought to you by Richards Honda, every single day, the title sponsor of our show here. You can find them online at richardshonda.com. A lot you can do right there on the website. You can see how long you have left to save in their current offers. You can chat with sales. You can find the warm, fuzzy promise there on the front page of the website. You can also find the buy from home option, something I've been telling you about over the last couple of weeks. 7-step process. You pick your vehicle, you fill out a little bit of information, then you start to compare some of these vehicles. You add all the features that you want. It's a very simple 7-step process. At the end of it, you get your car, your midsize, full-size SUV, your truck, your van delivered straight to your doorstep. You cannot beat that. But go see them, because they have over 700 new and premium vehicles at I-12 and Millaville. And again, no matter what you're looking for, no matter what your lifestyle calls for, they'll have something that fits your needs and is going to go way beyond your expectations. That's just what you get from Richards Honda. That's why they're home of the warm and fuzzy feeling.
In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com.
This isn't just another day. It's so much more. Kelly's life was put on hold when her auctioneer primary care doctor discovered a rare blood disorder. Her doctor connected her to an auctioneer care team of cancer, heart, and kidney specialists. With multiple primary care locations around Baton Rouge, same-day appointments, and online scheduling, we're relentless about keeping you healthy. Auctioneer Baton Rouge. Innovating healthcare for Kelly.
If I built a van, it would do more than haul.
It would carry my entire business. I'd make it available in dozens. Make that thousands of configurations.
It would keep an eye on my fleet.
And an eye out for danger.
If I built a van, I'd make it available in diesel and gas. And I'd build it right here in South Carolina.
Introducing the all-new Sprinter, starting at $33,790. Built in the USA. Mercedes-Benz. Vans. Born to run.
ServiceMaster Elite create clean, disinfected work environments. As a local business, we take pride in serving the New Orleans and Baton Rouge areas. Our cleaning protocols follow CDC and OSHA standards for healthcare settings, offices, senior living, restaurants, and industrial plants. Contact ServiceMaster Elite to get your operation ready for reopening with germ disinfection cleaning. ServiceMaster Elite, the trusted choice in professional cleaning since 1996.
To all of our heroes working on the front lines of this COVID-19 pandemic, your bravery and selflessness represent the very best of us, and we want to say thank you. I'm asking everyone around the state to join me in celebrating the heroism of our healthcare professionals on the 19th of every month at 1900 hours, that's 7 p.m. Write a note of appreciation, make plans to donate to charitable organizations, or say a prayer. To learn more, visit 19thanks.org. Thank you, and God bless.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is a local bank with a straightforward philosophy.
It's about doing the right thing for our customers.
Participating in our community with annual local fundraisers. Offering individual attention in a modern banking atmosphere with a trusted local company. Gulf Coast Bank invested in technology with a local touch, giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime.
We're building relationships through personal service as the bank that cares about you.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
T-Bob Hebert here with breaking news. Front-to-Back Boat Services is the shop to upgrade your boat tech this fall. With not one, but two NMEA-certified techs, who better to install your Panoptic sonar, your HD displays. You want to see the fish under the water before you even cast? They have that. Trolling motor you could control with your iPhone? They have that. So what are you waiting for? Get into Front-to-Back Boat Services right now. Upgrade your boat tech.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona inviting you to join us for Tuesday's AFR, presented by Insurance Network of Louisiana. The latest on Drew Brees' injury. Larry Holder will join us, and we'll start previewing LSU in Arkansas. Join us 3 to 6, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Hangin' with Hester and Hanny on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge and 1130 The Tiger.
We're brought to you in part today by Supreme Rice. You know what I did before I left the house this morning? Put some crawfish defrosting so that I can get some Supreme Rice and make an etouffee when we get home. And when I say we, I mean Tracy, because she's a lot better at it than I am.
Just bring me some.
For all your dishes that include rice, etouffees, stews, or regular rice and gravy, red beans and rice, make it with Supreme Rice. You're going to thank me for it because it is outstanding, whether it's the long grain, the brown rice, or the jasmine. They all come in the 5-pound bags, and it's so easy to get. All your Walmarts, all your Costco's, all of your AG food dealers. Support our Louisiana farmers down in southwest Louisiana. The Crowley area is where Supreme Rice has been headquartered since the 1930s. So for your next gathering, maybe for Thanksgiving, making some rice dressing. How can you have Thanksgiving dinner without rice dressing? Make it Supreme Rice. And for more information, great recipes, go to supremerice.com. You watch Monday Night Football last night? Kirk Cousins finally won a game. The vampire like Kirk Cousins.
I tell you what,
the reverse vampire. He can
was
only
it
play
0-8 or 0-9?
I thought it was 0-10 actually,
Okay,
but I might be wrong.
Been. Either way,
it was 0 a lot.
It wasn't great. Okay, it was over. I actually did watch it, and I watched it for one reason, because we had flag football playoff games, and so we were out. But
Congratulations!
Oh, thank you. Yeah, no big deal. I turned it on when normally I would just run straight to the bed because we got home late. But I wanted to see Justin Jefferson. He is so fun to watch, and he had another big game, and he is absolutely dominating the NFL right now. And I love his story. I mean, I just absolutely love it, and it hits close to home for me. But being the guy who was the last guy in the signing class and all that, I don't have to go through the history there. And he is doing it with his talent, and he's a technician as well. And I love seeing that. Off the line of scrimmage, veteran quarterbacks are struggling to do anything against him. And I think we're going to be talking about him for a very, very long time, and he's only getting better. And so, I mean, he's must-watch TV to me right now.
I like watching him play. I'm going to stop short of using the word dominate. I think I'm not there. But what I do like about him is I think it's one of the more difficult.
If you go out,
I think it's one of the more difficult.
If you
positions.
go out against a Bears defense that I have a lot of respect for, and you catch that many balls.
Oh no, he dominated the game last night. I'm not that, but for the season, I can't say what he's done has been dominating. He's 24th in the league in catches. He's 7th in yards. He's 40th in touchdowns. Those are really good numbers, but they're so much more escalated because he is a rookie. I think it's one of the more difficult positions to make the transition in the NFL as a rookie. There's so many nuances to the position. You've talked about it many times. Ryan Clark has talked about it many times. Just having great athletic ability as a wide receiver does not guarantee you success early on. You've got to really learn to play the position. I think as a rookie, what he has done has been remarkable. And I think it speaks to his route running skills. All of the things that those little nuances that he has picked up a lot faster than most rookie receivers do.
84 yards a game, over 18 yards per catch. The touchdowns aren't there that you want to see because Adam Thielen is a red zone target. He is a touchdown vulture, as we like to call him in fantasy football. He's got 9 touchdown catches on the year, only averaging 12 yards a catch. He's by far the leading receiver on this team. I mean, I'll put it in dominating because I think when they make a game plan for him, when they say we're going to go to Jets, he gets open and he makes the catch. And I understand what you're saying. There's other guys that we could kind of throw into that category. But, I mean, and Diggs is the leading receiver in the NFL. But he's replaced him, and I think both teams have absolutely won that. And I don't think that anybody saw that type of production coming. I thought he'd have a really good year, but he's having a year where he's, top 5 rookie in the NFL.
It's very easy to see Justin Jefferson as a third-year player catch over 100 balls, maybe even as a second-year player. So I wouldn't say dominating just yet, but he's well on his way, having a fantastic season. Hunt Palmer, who is in deep depression, will be with us when we come back. We'll try to comfort him as best we can. First class, second class, no class. Chris Doring a little bit later on in today's show. We're brought to you by Richards Honda, home of the warm and fuzzy feeling. Hanging with Hester and Hanny, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Hangin' with Hester and Hanny.
Do you know someone who sets a good example for all of us to follow? Someone who, without being asked, shows leadership, selflessness, and service to their community? We believe that's the definition of a good citizen, and so does Citizens Bank and Trust.
So, if you know someone that sounds like what Jordy was just describing, nominate them to be your good citizen, and they'll have a chance to win $500 from Citizens Bank and Trust. Plus, we'll mention him right here on the show. So go to citizensbankandtrust.com for more details and nominate your good citizen.
What do Honda lovers look forward to this time of year? Aside from family, turkey, and pie, happy Honda days at Richards Honda. It's that time of year when everything is at clearance prices. And since we're stocked up on inventory, you'll have plenty to choose from. Over 700 in stock at transparent prices. Happy Honda days makes happy customers. Come see why people call Richards Honda the smart choice. I-12 at Millerville Road and richardshonda.com.
This is a house call. This is a follow-up appointment. This is a diabetes checkup. This isn't just more convenient care. It's more advanced care. This is innovating healthcare at Louisiana's #1 hospital, Ochsner.
You may not know about the 4Kids Foundation, but you've probably heard of the Zurich Classic. And the Zurich Classic exists because of 4 kids. But it's what happens after the tournament that really counts. 100% of the proceeds are donated by the 4Kids Foundation to hundreds of local charities, totaling more than $40 million, all to help local children and families in need. 4Kids helps kids through golf, because every child deserves a shot at a brighter future.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is a local bank with a straightforward philosophy.
It's about doing the right thing for our customers.
Participating in our community with annual local fundraisers, offering individual attention in a modern banking atmosphere with a trusted local company. Gulf Coast Bank invested in technology with a local touch, giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime.
We're building relationships through personal service as the bank that cares about you.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
Are you a licensed contractor? There's lots of good contractors in Louisiana doing work the right way, but unfortunately, too many unlicensed contractors are working outside the licensing requirements. Working as a contractor in Louisiana requires a license for the company doing the work. The Louisiana State Licensing Board for Contractors wants to help you get licensed to allow you to conduct work legally. It's not difficult to get the license. We can help you. Go to lacontractor.org for more information. Licensed contractors, it's the law.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
At All-Star Toyota, you get it all. If you're in the market for an all-new Toyota vehicle...
Callahan Injury Lawyers. Hangin' with Hester and Hanny on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge and 1130 The Tiger.
Hour number 2, Hanging with Hester and Hanny and Hunt, brought to you by Richard's Honda, home of the warm and fuzzy feeling. Robert, how are you?
I'm doing okay.
Okay.
It's a lovely day outside.
It is. Very, very nice weather-wise. There's going to be football this weekend.
Allegedly.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no guarantee of that.
No, but I feel a lot better now than I did last Tuesday at this time when the game had already been canceled by this time last Tuesday, I think.
Sure. Yeah.
So, yeah, I'm looking forward to a little game. I mean, obviously, you've done a few post-game shows in your day. I never complained about the 11 a.m. game, a game that LSU can win. So, yeah, I'm here for it.
Last year when LSU played Arkansas, which was just about the same week, I think, right about this same week, it was the biggest point spread that we had ever remembered for an SEC game. LSU was the biggest favorite. It was over 30 points. And now, a year later, they are an underdog. That was one of – you know how we do the things in the summer, normal summers? Hey, make me 5 outlandish predictions or 3 outlandish predictions, 3 hot takes. How much would you have laughed at me if I had said, by the time they play Arkansas, they may very well be an underdog?
In the summer, I would have laughed at you when they redid the schedules.
Sure.
Because we were guessing point spreads for some of the opening games, and whoever Arkansas played on, remember, we probably said there'd be a 3-4 touchdown.
So this would have been a good one.
Played Georgia.
Played Georgia, yeah. So we for sure did. Yes.
When let's say the week before COVID hit, which was right about the time spring football was starting for everybody, said, "Hey, you know what? Take your best guess." This would have been a good one to throw Jimmy's way, but we'll do it here. Throw me your best guess in March the 8th. What's the spread going to be when LSU plays Arkansas?
I would say 20. I would say 21.
I mean, the game's still up there, but
that's the only reason I didn't say more.
We thought that there was a good chance Arkansas was going to go 0-10 at that time.
Yeah. Sure, I sure did.
Sam Pitman was not a sexy hire. Nobody thought that he would be able to turn this thing around to have that culture changed.
Nobody thought Felipe Franks was any good.
Right. We thought that Felipe Franks was, a stopgap. Boy, that's really well put.
Yeah,
that's really well put. We certainly didn't put the kind of stock into the Barry Odom hire that we do now. You would have said there'll be about about a 3-touchdown favorite, maybe even a little bit more. And now what has transpired since then, now they are a 3-point underdog because Arkansas is better at quarterback right now. They're better on defense right now than LSU is. I don't think they're not better at the skill positions than LSU, provided LSU's got everybody back. I mean, yesterday they clued us in that they've been short of running backs, among other things. Offensive line, I don't think they're any worse than LSU for sure. So call that a wash. Yeah. Arkansas and Arkansas is at home. They've actually got advantages in more places than LSU does, and that would have been just crazy to think back in March.
Arkansas is not a talented roster, but you know what we've talked about is the way that they play, and they never stop playing. They were getting hammered by Florida. They scored 2 touchdowns in the fourth quarter because they give a damn. They do. They give a damn about their program, and they feel like they're on the verge of doing something different at Arkansas. They're not the laughingstock anymore. So you still see guys out there in the fourth quarter, Grant Morgan, Bumper Pool, and all those type of players that are trying to make plays when they're down 4 scores to a team they can't stop. And so that's a brand right now in this 2020 season that's going to win you football games. It just is.
And I think that something that is actually helping them in terms of their motivation is the fact that everybody on this roster that's been there for any period of time whatsoever has just had their heads beaten into the ground, have to get up, go do workouts, run sprints, practice, lift weights, go to tutoring, all this stuff, and then you go out there and you just get dusted. You got dusted all in 19, you got dusted out all of 18, everybody in there, and all of a sudden this new guy comes in, he's got some energy, okay, but we know what and then all of a sudden you're competitive, you're beating Georgia at halftime. Then all of a sudden you go beat Mississippi State. You should have beaten. Well, now this is actually working. Like there's a natural energy that comes with this high that comes with some success that none of these guys have ever had. So it's easy to listen to the guys that are coaching you and to do the things that you're supposed to do and to bring the energy you're supposed to bring when you're finally breathing for air after your head's been held under the water for 2 years.
We did the record one day for you that through 4 years of high school and 4 years of college, you lost something like 12 games, 10 games total, something like that. So what I'm asking you is, it might be like asking you to answer in French, but could you imagine going 3 years without winning a game?
No.
I mean, just that's got to be the most foreign thing, too. You played on nothing but winning teams at the high school and college level. So imagine if you had played for Arkansas and you are headlong into your junior year and you ain't won an SEC game. You ain't won a game yet.
Even in my pro career, I think the worst record that we had as a team was 8-8, and that felt miserable. 8-8 felt miserable. It's like, what are we doing here? We've got to be better than 500 and better than average. They would love to be average. They would love to be average right now, and that's what they are. But that's not a bad thing because they were in the basement. They were below the basement. I mean, they were beneath the earth because they couldn't beat teams that were bad out of conference teams. Not like, oh, here comes BYU or here comes Cincinnati or here comes Coastal this year. No, they were losing to bad teams like San Jose State, who was getting their teeth kicked in the Mountain West. That's what was happening to them. And so they were so far below everyone else in the SEC. Like Hunt said, when you go to workouts and you're losing like that, I can't imagine a strength coach giving you, hands up, fourth quarter, we got to finish.
We just got blown out by San Jose State, and we're playing Florida next week. Like, what do you want me to go away?
By the fourth quarter, we're down 60 usually. So
you had to know somebody who played for Vandy or the Browns or the Jaguars or somebody. You had to have friends somewhere in one of these leagues that played on lousy teams. What did they say?
Oh, you lose the team about a third of the way because all of the cliches, all the coach speak, all that, you not only does it go one ear and out the other, but you become numb to it, and it almost pisses you off when you hear it. It's like if he says that one more time, I'm going to leave because we are 0-6 right now. We can't get a first down. We can't stop anybody. We got more holes than Swiss cheese, and we're out here talking about finishing the fourth quarter.
And at a certain point, at that point, you're no longer playing for the team to try to win. You're trying to put some good tape together so somebody signs you next year or you keep your job.
So when you turn something like this around, how do you do it? How has Sam Pitman done it? Because he, like you said, he didn't have a huge influx of talent. He didn't get to make a trade with the Baltimore Ravens to bring in two guys. He's got the same guys. He turned over the coaching staff, and then he had to do it with no spring and a disjointed, if nothing, no other word, schedule in the summer.
He made 2 fantastic coordinator hires. He went and got a Barry Odom, who I think did a good job at Missouri. He was 6-6 last year. I mean, that's not great, but it's Mizzou. Okay, when Mizzou's got high expectations, I think Barry Odom is a really good football coach. So he does that. Okay, Bryles, I think, was the guy they needed to change that offense, to update it a little bit. Those things are great. He went and got a Felipe Franks. Now, Felipe Franks is never going to be a world beater, but they played like 7 quarterbacks against LSU last year.
Jerry Jones out there.
They just needed some stability. They just needed a guy. Because at the skill positions, Chad Morris actually did a pretty nice job of bringing some real players in. So they had talent in those spots. And you know what? The final thing for me, Sam Pitman wanted to be the Arkansas head coach more than anybody wanted to be a coach anywhere in the country. And that matters. We've seen it work here. There's not a job that Coach O would leave LSU for, pro or college. There's just not. Sam Pitman had that same feeling for Arkansas. So when your coach is happy as a lark to be there, right? He's so happy to be the Arkansas football head coach. Well, the players start to say, damn, you see how fired up Coach was this morning when he was at workouts? Man, this place means something to him. And when you're at a place that doesn't have a lot of talent in your state, so if you're from Louisiana and you're playing at LSU, when times get tough, what do you want to do? You want to play for the school that you grew up watching every single Saturday because you've got pride in it. Well, Arkansas's roster is not littered with guys from Arkansas. It's bad high school football. That's just the fact. And so you've got to get guys to buy in that haven't grown up buying into the program. Well, Sam Pitman did that. He didn't go to Arkansas. He's not from Arkansas. He's been a long-time Georgia assistant. I know he spent a couple of years at Arkansas, but he's got so much pride in that job that all the players saw that and they bought in. It's as simple as that. And that might seem elementary, but that's exactly what it is, because when you've got a head coach that's passionate about something like Sam Pittman is about Arkansas, everybody buys in.
And we think Sam Pittman's going to be on the sideline Saturday, right?
Yes.
I do.
That is our expectation. Well, he's done a great job. He would be my SEC coach of the year. And I know that Jimbo's done a nice job. Saban's undefeated. Just what he's done. Mullen has got his team playing at as high a level as anybody in the country right now. And they're the one team I think that has the best chance to beat Alabama. I may change my mind on Ohio State if I see a little bit more, but I need to see them a couple more times before I'm convinced of that. But Sam Pittman has done more with less than anybody else in the conference, and maybe in the country. I'm blanking on the coach at Indiana.
Allen.
Yeah, he may end up being the national coach of the year to beat Ohio State for sure, but nobody's done any better job than Sam Pittman that I can say.
And a guy like Fitzgerald up at Northwestern, we played there. He's got pride in the program. I think it's a little bit different. And so you're exactly right. I mean, there's a couple of candidates that we could throw out there that have done a hell of a job. What? Who?
Smack him.
I just like throwing that in there once in a while.
He's all discombobulated. He's all off his game because the Cubs are about to suck for another 100 years.
That's not true.
108.
108. I was wrong. It's 108.
I mean, I feel bad that my team hasn't won a World Series in 25 years. I can't imagine what 108 years felt like.
Can you imagine what 3 feels like? 4?
Yeah.
It's good.
I just told you 25 years. They should have won one this year, but they blew a 3-1 lead to the team that won the World Series.
Fired a Hall of Fame general manager. Oh, I'm sorry. They parted ways. I'll let Hunt explain when we come back. We're going to do first class, second class, no class. Take a guess where Hunt's going to put
a lot of his stuff.
When we return, hanging with Hester and Hanny, presented by Richard's Honda, home of the warm, fuzzy feeling. 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Hanging with Hester and Hanny.
All right, brought to you by Garcia Roofing. They've been doing it since 1992. 28 great years of service. One of the LSU 100 fastest growing Tiger businesses for the second year in a row as well. I'll tell you every single day, there's no gimmicks with Garcia Roofing. You know exactly what you're going to get, which is the absolute best in the state of Louisiana. Garcia Roofing is going to stand behind their work with that Garcia guarantee. Please ask them about their free roof inspections. It saved me thousands. I know it can save you thousands as well.
Every project, on time, on budget, high-quality work, whether it's roof repair, roof replacement, roof cleaning, or commercial roofing. They're available in Baton Rouge, New Orleans, on the North Shore, and in Lafayette. Call 756-3100, 225-756-3100. Roof now and pay later online. It's GarciaDidMyRoof.com.
Off the Bench, Hangin with Hester and Hanny, after further review and more, are all live daily on the 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge YouTube channel. Subscribe now to interact with us inside the live chat driven by Bayou Ford.
At All-Star Toyota, you get it all. If you're in the market for an all-new Toyota vehicle, come see our friendly and knowledgeable sales team at All-Star Toyota. Located in Baton Rouge at the corner of Airline and Goodwood, we've been serving our community since 2005 by offering a large selection of new Toyota cars, trucks, and SUVs. Get behind the wheel of your dream car and take a test drive at All-Star Toyota today.
T-Bob Hebert here with breaking news. Front to Back Boat Services is the shop to upgrade your boat tech this fall. With not one but two NMEA certified techs, who better to install your Panoptic sonar, your HD displays. You want to see the fish under the water before you even cast? They have that. Trolling motor you could control with your iPhone? They have that. So what are you waiting for? Get into Front to Back Boat Services right now. Upgrade your boat tech. Make your boating dreams come true. Front to Back Boat Services.
To all of our heroes working on the front lines of this COVID-19 pandemic, your bravery and selflessness represent the very best of us, and we want to say thank you. I'm asking everyone around the state to join me in celebrating the heroism of our healthcare professionals on the 19th of every month at 1900 hours, that's 7 p.m. Write a note of appreciation, make plans to donate to charitable organizations, or say a prayer. To learn more, visit 19thanks.org. Thank you, and God bless.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is a local bank with a straightforward philosophy.
It's about doing the right thing for our customers.
Participating in our community with annual local fundraisers. Offering individual attention in a modern banking atmosphere with a trusted local company. Gulf Coast Bank invested in technology with a local touch, giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime.
We're building relationships through personal service as the bank that cares about you.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
If I built a van, it would do more than haul.
It would carry my entire business. I'd make it available in dozens, if not thousands of configurations.
It would keep an eye on my fleet. And an eye out for danger.
If I built a van, I'd make it available in diesel and gas. And I'd build it right here in South Carolina.
Introducing the all-new Sprinter, starting at $33,790. Built in the USA. Mercedes-Benz. Vans. Born to run.
This is a house call. This is a follow-up appointment. This is a diabetes checkup. This isn't just more convenient care, it's more advanced care. This is innovating healthcare at Louisiana's #1 hospital, Ochsner.
Coming up on Wednesdays Off the Bench, we'll look forward to LSU Arkansas and Saints Falcons, Sans Drew Brees. Plus, Booger McFarland stops by to talk NFL and Tigers, and a brand new Would You Rather Wednesday. Off the Bench, 104.5 ESPN.
Hangin with Hester and Hanny on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge and 1130 The Tiger. First class.
I want a seat in first class where I was booked and ticketed over a month ago.
Second class.
That no man should be subjected to the indignity of being labeled or treated like a second-class citizen.
And no class.
My life had become like school on Sunday. No class.
I'll tell you what then. Why don't you call me sometime when you have no class?
First class, second class, no class, brought to you by Relief Telemed for businesses who have frequent interactions with the public, like restaurants and retail stores, service-based businesses that can't afford to shut down or send home employees. Relief's COVID mitigation platform takes the hassle, chaos, and stress out of having your employees tested for COVID. Process starts with a video visit with a physician and ends with a custom action plan for every employee. And then you'll have your dashboard that tells you exactly when your employees can come back to work. And Relief Telemed offers both on-site and off-site testing options.
ReliefTelemed.com is the website. I tell you, every single week they did wonders for our business up in Shreveport. No missed days, which is so very important during this very difficult time. Remember, LSU Alexandria, both They seeked out the best, and Relief Telemed was the best for their COVID testing. Also, Santa Ana School District in the state of California. So they can do anything that you need. Nothing's going to be too big. No business is going to be too small for them to get you back to work. Again, relieftelemed.com is the website. Your doctor's office delivered.
All right, Hunt, lead us off.
First class. Chicago Cubs have long been the easiest punching bag in professional sports for the vast majority of their entire history as a franchise. They've been a laughingstock, lovable losers. They had a great team in 2003 and made the playoffs a couple times in 07 and 08, but they haven't been good recently, haven't been good in a long time. Things started to change in 2011. They got a new ownership group and hired a new director of baseball operations. That director of baseball operations decided to ship Andrew Kashner out of town. He got Anthony Rizzo in return, who has been the captain and the face of the franchise.
Yeah, I was a San Diego then. Wasn't very happy about that.
About as good a player as there is at the position in the league. He decided to ship Scott Feldman out of town. He picked up Pedro Strop, who was one of the better relievers in the National League, and Jake Arrieta, who was the best pitcher on the planet for a year and a half. He sent Ryan Dempster out at the trade deadline, picked up Kyle Hendricks. That Kyle Hendricks was winning an ERA title. He pitched Game 6 of the NLCS and outdueled Clayton Kershaw, then pitched Game 7 of the World Series and beat Corey Kluber. He's also won postseason starts against Steven Strasburg.
When are you going to get to the part where they fired him?
Not yet. As the Cubs were toiling in anonymity and losing games early on, he got some early draft picks. He selected Chris Bryant, who won a Most Valuable Player award. He selected Kyle Schwarber, who broke his leg and tore his ACL and came back and was a hero in the World Series 6 months later. And then he took Ian Happ, who also has been a very, very good player. And also, after his team lost 90-plus games, he went out into the free agent market and acquired John Lester and said, hey, come play with these kids who are in AAA Iowa right now, but I think they'll probably be pretty good. He inked Lester to a 6-year deal, and John Lester was on the mound late in Game 7 as the Cubs were in the World Series. The Cubs went to 3 straight NLCSs during this time. They won a world championship. Theo Epstein is the greatest executive in the history of Major League Baseball. He snapped the 2 longest droughts in baseball history, and for the last 9 years has overseen the greatest run in the history of the Cubs franchise. I've enjoyed every second of it. Theo Epstein is every bit of my first class.
Why'd they fire him?
They didn't fire him.
Uh-huh.
No, he said he doesn't want to work anywhere for 10 years or more, and this is his 9th year. It was going to be 1 more year, and the fact of the matter is that the Ricketts and he got sideways over how they were going to allocate funds in the baseball operations. The Ricketts saw some free agent deals he made that weren't great and didn't like it, and then they saw we won, so let's chill out, and they wanted to get under the luxury tax and all that kind of stuff, and they basically cut his legs out from under him, and he's going to move along.
There's a word for that. They fired him.
He left.
They fired him.
He left.
They fired a very successful executive because he cost too much.
No, because his players cost too much.
Well, that's what I meant. I mean, not him specifically. He cost too much. They fired him. They're back to being the Cubs.
No, we're not. We're going to be really good.
They had a guy, okay? They're the guy. They fired him.
We're in the only sport where money wins, and we've got it.
Hester, judge's ruling. Did they fire him?
They fired him.
They fired him. All right. First class, Theo Epstein, one of my favorites.
All right, I'm going to go to a quarterback in the SEC, and if you listen to our show, I think you realize that I'm a fan of his game, and that's Kyle Trask at Florida. And not for what Kyle Trask necessarily is doing on the field, throwing for a lot of touchdowns, a lot of yards. He's been playing outstanding. I was a fan of his last year because I thought he showed a lot of grit when he came to Tiger Stadium on a bum knee. But even more so for the fact that he was the 2,123rd player in his recruiting class. He was the 92nd pro-style quarterback. So that doesn't even include all the quarterbacks, Hanny. That's just the pro-style quarterback.
I had him 87 myself.
The dual-threat guys could factor in there as well. There was 261 players, I guess, better in the state of Texas, okay? He was behind Derek King in high school. Did he take his ball and go home? No, he didn't. He stayed the course. Didn't play, but he stayed the course, believed in his talents. Well, one major school takes a chance on him, and that's Florida. And he goes to Florida. In the same class, do you know who's in that same class, Hunt?
No, I don't.
Felipe Franks. Felipe Franks was the 5th-rated quarterback in the class in 2016. Okay, so you got the number 5 guy coming in. I am the 92nd guy, just pro style. Felipe was 5th overall, both dual and pro style. Does he worry about competition there? Does he say, I'm never going to play? Does he go to the smaller school where he probably has a better chance of playing? No, he says, the hell with it. I'm going to go to Florida, and I'm going to compete. Number 1 quarterback in the country that year was Shea Patterson, by the way, in case you're wondering.
Free agent.
Yes.
Available.
He's available. We found that
NFL.
out yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
And so for me, and I've told y'all my dad, one of my favorite quotes from my dad when I was coming to LSU, and they had a lot of freshman and sophomore running backs. He said, if you're scared of competition, change your last name. And that's one that's just got chills. I get chills every time I say it. Because it was a life-changing moment for me. I mean, there was a crossroads. I could have gone somewhere else maybe. Hey, let's go to Louisiana Tech because I can play running back there. Is LSU going to allow me to play running back, or am I going to be a fullback my whole time? Okay, when my dad said that, we're going to LSU. Okay, that's where I dreamed of going growing up. That's where we're going. And I feel that same way plus 1,000 for Kyle Trask. Everyone told him not to go to Florida. You'll never play. In my opinion, he's the front runner for the Heisman Trophy. And so when people don't take their ball and go home, when people say, I'm going to stay in this competition, I'm not going to transfer, it's the easy thing to do. And there's some cases where transfers work out and they're needed. I understand that. I have a lot of appreciation for everything that he did to get to this point in his career. So for me, first class to Kyle Trask.
Very good. My first class goes to the Masters. Nobody knew exactly how the Masters was going to play in November. We've never had that before. Good Lord willing, we'll never have that again. But it was fun to watch the course play differently. And I'm not going to pretend to be a golf expert, but I know enough about the game to know that they could go flag hunting a little bit more with some of the softer greens. For instance, on number 2, which is a par 5, but is a almost impossible hole to eagle on a normal day. On Thursday, you had a lot of guys that were going out that were able to hunt that back left pin location because the greens were so soft. So it was fun to see that. It was fun to see a leaderboard that included a mix of the very best players in the world as veterans. Dustin Johnson, who won it, Justin Thomas, Rory McIlroy, Brooks Koepka, John Rahm, all finished in the top 10. But also to see some exciting young players like Cameron Smith, who was terrific. Sungjae M from South Korea. I don't think I saw a ball come off of his club that was not perfectly straight the entire time I watched him play on the weekend. And guys like Cameron Champ, who you may not know who he is now, but he is even longer than Bryson DeChambeau off the tee and shot six under par in his first Masters. So there's a lot of those things. But some of the other little nuances that we saw of the tournament, like having game day there, was cool. I don't want to see it every year, but for a one-time thing, it was really, really cool. I don't want to see them teeing off at 6:30 in the morning every year, but for 1 year, it was really cool to see the leaders go off at about 9:30 on Sunday morning to get ahead of it. One of the things I absolutely loved about their coverage this year was the addition of the drones. I'd never seen Augusta National from overhead before. I mean, I knew that the course was breathtaking, but to be able to see these vantage points, I felt a lot like the year that they first started televising the front nine, because for years and years and years, they would only televise the back nine on Sunday. And when I finally got to look at the first nine, I go, oh, this is what the rest of the course looks like. There's a lot of like that on Saturday. Oh, this is what it looks like from overhead. Just fantastic. So it's possible that I like Masters golf more than football because I watched more of the Masters on. I know if the Saints would have been playing at noon, it would have been tough for me, but I was perfectly content to turn Bucks and Panthers off and be glued to this Masters. I enjoyed the heck out of it. So for a tournament that is pretty rigid in its scheduling and all the things that go along with it, to have to change all that, I thought they came off aces. It was great. First class.
I'll stick right there. In this first class, second class, not necessarily this weekend because his play was first class all week long. Dustin Johnson, the winner. But more so some of the other things, and really to me, the thing that stuck out the most. This is a guy who three-putted from 10 feet at Chambers Bay to lose the U.S. Open. This is a guy who had the PGA essentially taken from him on a technicality where there was a bunker with grass in it that he didn't even know was a bunker, and they gave him a penalty for that. And he never shows any emotion when any of those things happen. In the same way that he doesn't go crazy when he gets his first major. And he didn't really go crazy when he won this one. He tapped in, and that was it. I mean, I thought he would maybe make a reaction when he knocked in that birdie putt on 15. Nothing really from Dustin Johnson. He's kind of boring in that way. He doesn't say anything exciting in a press conference. He doesn't give you much emotion or much energy. But I thought the interview that he gave to Amanda Balionis after it was over, where he couldn't even talk, he was choked up that much, that shows how much it meant to him for a South Carolina kid to go right across the border and win the most important golf tournament, to get that Masters jacket and everything that goes with it. You're at the Champions Dinner forever. You can play in the tournament forever. You're an honorary member. There's a lot that goes into the Masters that doesn't necessarily go into the PGA or the Open Championship, and it meant a ton to him. So my second class, which is good, or a chance to be great, now DJ's got 2. And he's one of those guys that you could see pulling a Brooks Koepka, pulling a Jordan Spieth, and winning 3 out of 5. And if he does that, it changes the entire narrative. So really, 2 is quite good. He can be a lot better. He can be great.
He has been for a long time the best player on tour from tee to green. His deal was he couldn't close. The last 2 years, that putter has improved so much. That to me is the difference between him being just one of the top players, and right now he's the best golfer in the world.
All right, second class for me, good with a chance to be great, is the New Orleans Pelicans and all the moves that they've made. I think their front office is so much better than it's ever been before, and I love the assistant coaching hires they made yesterday. I love what they did with Jrue Holiday. I wanted to see Jrue play for the Pelicans, but it wasn't the smartest play. They knew they had to move him. They did it, and they got, in my opinion, a king's ransom in return. I love the trade. And look, there's a lot of trades that we love right off the top, but I think this one makes a lot of sense. And you got back other pieces in Bledsoe and Hill that you could potentially either move, or you could keep one of them, have a veteran presence to go along with J.J. Redick. So there's so many different ways that this Pelicans team can go. That's why they're in my second class. I cannot wait to see what they do with all the draft picks they have. I think they make a move in this year's draft to move up, because I do think there's a player that they like that's inside of that top 10. And they still have stars on their team already, right? This isn't a complete reset right now. No, you've got a team that's not quite there yet. It's not going to be this year, but you've got stars in place with the draft picks, with maybe some potential veteran players that you can lure to New Orleans, that this is about as good as I've felt about the New Orleans Pelicans or the whole franchise since they moved to New Orleans than I ever have before, because of who they have in place in the front office, who they have on their roster. And we'll see how the Van Gundy hire goes, but there's a lot of people that respect it. So for me, I love where the Pelicans are right now. It's not yet, but it will be soon.
Is this one too simple for me? Is this too obvious? Jameis Winston's going to start on Sunday for the Saints. They haven't made that official yet, but he's going to start on Sunday for the Saints. New Orleans looked in the offseason when Teddy Bridgewater moved on and said, what can we do to shore up the quarterback position in the event that 41-year-old Drew Brees gets hurt? And they went out and they got a former number 1 pick in the draft who's not yet 27 years old. It was forward thinking for if something like this happened. Well, now it's happened. You put yourself in position now as the Saints to have a backup quarterback that can go out there and win you games, certainly games against Atlanta, Denver, and Philadelphia. You have put yourself in a position as Jameis Winston to show this team and the rest of the NFL that you can still play at the level of a number 1 pick. You are now being given an opportunity. This may work out great for the Saints. It may work out great for Jameis Winston. It may work out great for the two of them together moving forward. But it hasn't yet. So for the moment, it's good. You put yourself in position to be great. Put together a run like Teddy Bridgewater did last year and see who benefits from it, because I think everyone will, and maybe even everyone together. So Jameis Winston starting for the Saints, good with a chance to be great. We'll come back with our no-class win. We return hanging with Hester and Hanny, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Hanging with Hester and Hanny.
Louisiana One Call has put into place to keep you out of trouble, basically. You know what? I wish there was a Louisiana One Call for everything in my life. Keep me out of trouble. Here's how you do it. Call 811 before you want to dig on your property. Doesn't matter what you're building. Whether you're putting another piece of building on your property, whether you're doing some landscaping, building a fence, building a swimming pool. If you're going to put a shovel in the ground, put a phone in your hand and dial 811. Don't hit any of the underground lines that are buried shallow beneath the surface. Put yourself in a bind. Put your neighbors in a bind. Also, it's against the law, so don't do that.
Louisiana Underground Utilities and Facilities Damage Prevention Law, to be exact, Hanny. So, yes, it is the law, and it's incredibly easy to use. multiple ways to do it. You can dial 811 like Hanny mentioned. You can go to Louisiana811.com. You can submit a ticket right there online, so the hassle's out of it for you because they come to your home. They come to your business. They mark the buried line, so it's all done for you. Know what's below. Call 811 before you dig.
Our listeners fire off their opinions on the jimsfirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the jimsfirearms.net hotline on 1045 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Hello.
What's up, B? What you doing?
Chilling at the office working. You?
Hanging at the job site. Chilling.
Roof's up.
Hey, Greg. Roof up? Roof's up. Roof's up.
Roof's up.
Roof's up?
Roof's up.
Roof's up! Roof's up! Beautiful roof every single time.
True. True.
From the makers of Blue Moon comes Light Sky. An extraordinary citrus sweet brewed with real tangerine peel, only 95 calories. Welcome to the light side of the moon.
You may not know about the 4Kids Foundation, but you've probably heard of the Zurich Classic. And the Zurich Classic exists because of 4Kids. But it's what happens after the tournament that really counts. 100% of the proceeds are donated by the 4Kids Foundation to hundreds of local charities, totaling more than $40 million, all to help local children and families in need. 4Kids helps kids through golf, because every child deserves a shot at a brighter future.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Are you a licensed contractor? There's lots of good contractors in Louisiana doing work the right way, but unfortunately, too many unlicensed contractors are working outside the licensing requirements. Working as a contractor in Louisiana requires a license for the company doing the work. The Louisiana State Licensing Board for Contractors wants to help you get licensed to allow you to conduct work legally. It's not difficult to get the license. We can help you. Go to lacontractor.org for more information. Licensed contractors, it's the law.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is a local bank with a straightforward philosophy.
It's about doing the right thing for our customers.
Participating in our community with annual local fundraisers. Offering individual attention in a modern banking atmosphere with a trusted local company. Gulf Coast Bank invested in technology with a local touch, giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime.
We're building relationships through personal service as the bank that cares about you.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
Toyotathon is happening now at Coel Toyota in Opelousas.
Get a 20 Highlander for $4,600 off of MSRP.
So come on down to Happy Town for Toyotathon. That's Coel Toyota in Opelousas.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona inviting you to join us for Tuesday's AFR, presented by Insurance Network of Louisiana. The latest on Drew Brees' injury. Larry Holder will join us, and we'll start previewing LSU and Arkansas. Join us 3 to 6, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Hangin' with Hester and Hanny on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge and 1130 The Tiger.
Welcome back. Hanging with Hester and Hanny and Hunt on a Tuesday. Chris Doring with us in hour number 3. We're wrapping up first class, second class, no class. Hunt, your submission for no class.
This is a repeat offender in no class. Not for me, but I'm certain it's come up somewhere along the line because he's made enough missteps that he can get you into no class pretty quickly. This is back on October the 15th. He was unemployed at the time, but now has since been employed, and Tampa Bay has been told they were aware this happened. Antonio Brown was at home at his subdivision, and something, whatever it was, made him mad enough to break down a security camera and then throw his bicycle at a police officer. Cooler heads prevailed, and Brown paid to fix the camera, and they didn't press charges. But he's a lunatic, and it's just no class. Don't throw bikes at people.
some anger management issues. I would say, picked up a whole bike and
threw it at a security guard.
Okay,
that's a whole different issue. Okay, my no class goes to the NFL.
Shocker.
So yeah, I know, right? It's become kind of a thing. So the Saints had a big victory, and they were dancing in the locker room. We all saw the videos, and the NFL said that they were going to come down extremely hard on the Saints. There's going to be fines, potential a loss of draft picks because of that. Now, the Broncos had a video where they were pretty close. They were doing some dancing in the locker room, but I guess because it wasn't with music and the lights off, I guess that changes it somehow because I haven't heard a peep from the NFL. Imagine them being inconsistent. But we go through, and I'm saying we as the Saints, we go through these same exact testing policies. Everyone in that locker room goes through the same testing policies. We just tackled each other, high-fived each other, slapped each other on the butt. We're in the same huddle for 4 hours. But when I get in a locker room situation, we can't dance next to each other, okay? I promise you that teams in the NFL, before they take their shower to get on the team bus to go back to the plane or to go home, they don't have masks on. They're not going to have masks in any post-game situation. Have you seen any videos or pictures where the whole team has their mask on when the coach is breaking it down in the locker room?
No.
No, but because you let the angry mob, I guess, get to you, you're going to take a draft pick away from a team that's in the locker room celebrating a victory after they've been through the testing protocols and they've done everything to make sure that they were safe to play the game. It's just, to me, that's ludicrous. We're not talking about a head coach having his mask off and yelling at the official where he's a few inches away when he's supposed to have his mask on. Okay, that's a different situation. I understand what you're doing. But come on, this team was celebrating a victory, and you're going to take away a draft pick because they didn't social distance in the locker room? That to me is just going so far the other way. And yes, this is a very serious issue. Yes, this is an issue that we're still dealing with in our country. Yes, we're canceling and postponing games. I know all that. But after the game, they're going to be in that locker room without mask anyways, getting ready to get on the bus. That to lose a draft pick, that's too far for me.
What aggravates me the most about it is that the team that committed the most egregious violation of all in this, they weren't fined or penalized the least, but they were fined and penalized less than this, was the Tennessee Titans.
Yeah.
The Tennessee Titans had positive tests. They were told by the league, shut the facility down and send everybody home. You can't practice. You can't meet. You can't be together. The Tennessee Titans went out of their way to break the rule. They went out of their way to find a facility that they thought nobody would catch them at a private high school in Nashville, and they went and they conducted a practice. And because they did that, they disrupted the schedules of, I believe it was 5 teams. And in some cases, it certainly wasn't to the benefit of those teams that they had to reschedule. They didn't get like an extra week off. I think the Patriots had to travel in and play on a day of the game. Okay, so they created a disadvantage for other teams. Yet they weren't docked a draft choice for it. They were fined $350,000, which to the Tennessee Titans organization, their ownership is like docking you, a dime. And yet they're going to go out of their way to penalize the Raiders more. If they had hit the Titans for a draft choice, I would have understood. Hey, listen, this wasn't an oversight. You didn't forget the mask. You didn't, in the heat of the moment, have the mask down. You weren't in a group of players that had already been tested, and yet you forgot the mask or you didn't use the mask, but everybody had already been tested. No, you guys had players test positive. You were told, don't do this. You big fat did it anyway, and your penalty is less than what it is for the Raiders. Yeah, they hit the Saints with a draft choice, and I may just lose my mind because if you didn't penalize the Tennessee Titans for what they did with a draft choice, then nobody gets hit with a draft choice. I'm hopefully I don't have to pull that no class out. I hope that I never have to say that. We said earlier in the show that this was like this 2-week period in the NBA is like the end of June, beginning of July, the point where you're getting to the draft and all the trades, and then free agency hits. And so you come up with a lot of player movement and all kinds of ideas. And Jake, I'm with you on what's going on with the Pelicans. It's exciting to see where they're going to go. So a lot of trade possibilities come up in this, and there's one that is just a absolute dumpster fire waiting to happen. James Harden has asked out of the Houston Rockets. Okay, that's fair enough. They've given it a shot with their analysts. They've moved the head coach. They've moved the general manager. They're going to move Russell Westbrook probably. So Harden wants out. It's fine. It's where he wants to go. He wants to go to the New Jersey. I'm sorry, the Brooklyn Nets. The Brooklyn Nets.
Easy.
I'm sorry, the Brooklyn Nets. The Brooklyn Nets, who have Kevin Durant on their team and Kyrie Irving on their team. Sounds great, right? 3 of the best players in the world. Put them together. What could possibly go wrong? I'll tell you what could go wrong. The wrestling match over the basketball between the second and third best players on that team every time they cross half court. I'm sure that Harden and Kyrie are going to share the ball amicably. I'm sure there won't be any problems running that offense, not to mention on the defensive side of the ball where
that's optional.
Harden has been, shall we say, less than enthusiastic. What's really disturbing about it is while Kyrie and Harden are actively wrestling over the basketball, Jacob, you got young boys. You ever see them wrestle over sports equipment or video games
Every
or something
day.
like that? Okay, this is going to be the Nets every time they come across half court. Harden is going to get the ball, and he ain't going to give it up unless Kyrie takes the ball, and he ain't going to give it up. And what's really funny about all of that is that the best player on the team, provided he comes back from the injury, okay, is Kevin Durant, who is the one who should have the ball more than either one of the other two. This whole trade idea, and look, and by the way, first-year coach with all of that, and so I respect the hell out of Steve Nash, Hall of Fame player, and probably will be a good coach, but this is your first assignment is to go and try to separate Kyrie and Harden as they wrestle over the basketball. This is a bad idea.
I'd give Nash the ball and tell the other 3 guys to go out there and let him figure out who ought to have it.
He could probably still run the point. I almost want to see it just so I can watch this thing implode. But this happened back in the 80s when the Atlanta Hawks signed Reggie Theus, and they had a really good team. Dominique Wilkins, they had signed Moses Malone, who was a little bit past his prime, was still one of the better players in the league. Doc Rivers was running the point for them. And Theus and Dominique basically wrestled over the ball all year. I mean, these were 2 scoring, ball-dominant players, and it was like, Reggie, give the ball to Dominique. He's better than you. And that's what would happen. And the Hawks were terrible for all the talent that they had.
Was he with the Kings before?
He was with the Kings.
Yeah.
He played for several teams, but he's with the Kings. Yeah, and Theus could score.
Yeah,
but Dominique could score more.
Yeah,
either
Even
one of these,
reel.
and both of these guys can score. Kyrie Irving can score. Lord knows James Harden can score. Kevin Durant's better than either one of you guys, and y'all are going to spend the whole season wrestling over the ball. I kind of want to see it. It's like one of those bad movies that you kind of have to watch till the end. It would be for entertaining theater. The only thing would be better if all 3 of these guys played for the Knicks, because then know it would go sideways.
Chill out.
Hanging with Hester and Hanny, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Hanging with Hester and Hanny.
Gotro's Outdoor Power and our friends over at Skag, making it easier than ever for you to get into the top zero-turn unit on the market, residential or commercial. All of them come with 60 months interest-free financing. And here at the end of the year, as we talk about closeout models for 2020, we're talking about some of the best deals that you can have right now. I know you might not be thinking about mowing grass right now, but before you know it, springtime will be around. It'll be time to cut grass again, and why wouldn't you do it with the best unit in the market from Skag and Gotros?
Let's put a couple of names to those Skag power equipment mowers that we're talking about. Liberty Z for residential, the Cheetah. You're talking about the Turf Tiger, the Tiger Cat, the Patriot for some of your commercial lawn mowers. They've got it all. 2 locations locally, Airline and Industrial Plex in Baton Rouge, Airline 74 in Gonzales. Go see the showroom. We can't encourage that enough. Also, though, if you're listening to us throughout the state of Louisiana, GoTrosOutdoorPower.com. Remember, free delivery to your doorstep with Gotros. Just another reason. Gotros, we make it easy.
We opened up the playbook and expanded our coverage. Listen daily in high definition on 98.1 HD2. We are 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Do you know someone who sets a good example for all of us to follow? Someone who shows leadership, selflessness, and service to their community without being asked? We think that's the definition of a good citizen, and so does Citizens Bank and Trust. If you know someone who exhibits all of these qualifications, nominate them for a Good Citizen Award, and they could receive $500 from Citizens Bank. And we'll recognize them here on the show. Get the details at citizensbankandtrust.com, and then nominate your good citizen.
If I built a van, it would do more than haul.
It would carry my entire business. I'd make it available in dozens, if not thousands of configurations.
It would keep an eye on my fleet.
And an eye out for danger.
If I built a van, I'd make it available in diesel and gas. And I'd build it right here in South Carolina.
Introducing the all-new Sprinter, starting at $33,790. Built in the USA. Mercedes-Benz. Vans. Born to run.
This isn't just another day. It's so much more. Kelly's life was put on hold when her auctioneer primary care doctor discovered a rare blood disorder. Her doctor connected her to an auctioneer care team of cancer, heart, and kidney specialists. With multiple primary care locations around Baton Rouge, same-day appointments, and online scheduling, we're relentless about keeping you healthy. Auctioneer Baton Rouge, innovating healthcare for Kelly.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
ServiceMaster Elite create clean, disinfected work environments. As a local business, we take pride in serving the New Orleans and Baton Rouge areas. Our cleaning protocols follow CDC and OSHA standards for healthcare settings, offices, senior living, restaurants, and industrial plants. Contact ServiceMaster Elite to get your operation ready for reopening with germ disinfection cleaning. ServiceMaster Elite, the trusted choice in professional cleaning since 1996.
At All-Star Toyota, you get it all. If you're in the market for an all-new Toyota vehicle, come see our friendly and knowledgeable sales team at All-Star Toyota. Located in Baton Rouge at the corner of Airline and Goodwood, we've been serving our community since 2005 by offering a large selection of new Toyota cars, trucks, and SUVs. Get behind the wheel of your dream car and take a test drive at All-Star Toyota today.
To all of our heroes working on the front lines of the...
Coming up on Wednesdays Off the Bench, we'll look forward to LSU Arkansas and Saints Falcons, Sans Drew Brees. Plus, Booger McFarland stops by to talk NFL and Tigers, and a brand new Would You Rather Wednesday. Off the Bench, 104.5 ESPN.
You know that I got it. Yeah. All this game up in my body.
Hangin with Hester and Hanny on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge and 1130 The Tiger.
Hanging with Hester and Hanny and Hunt and Hungry Howie's.
That's right. I'll tell you about the Hungry Howie's subs. I'll tell you about the delicious flavored crust pizza over there at Hungry Howie's. But the subs are awesome as well. I love the meatball sub. It's tasty meatballs, mozzarella, and zesty tomato sauce. Get the Pizza Deluxe sub. Just any 3 pizza toppings with mozzarella and that tomato sauce. Delicious. Another one that I really like is the Italian sub. Ham, salami, pepperoni, mozzarella, and a little side of Italian dressing. Of course, we tell you Hungry Howie's has got those 3 medium 1-topping pizzas for just $15. The pizzas are fantastic. Subs are great, too, if you're just trying to swing in for lunch, and you can eat for under $10 with those delicious subs. Hungry Howie's, hungryhowies.com, Nicholson, just south of LSU's campus at Lee.
Hungry Howie's. That was my best one yet. That was a good one.
We might have run tape on it, We might be able to just, punch it up. It'll be like a little drop.
Yeah, we can do it.
Got a giveaway coming up from your foundation at the end of the show today.
Yeah, we do. So if you've been following on social media at Hester Sports, that's our foundation tag on Twitter. We do a bunch of raffles. We usually get some LSU and going to dive into some other gear, maybe some Saints stuff here soon. We've given away a Clyde Edwards-Helaire jersey. This time, the raffle was for the Honey Badger autographed jersey. Tyrann Mathieu, of course, signed number 7 jersey. That's coming up at 2:45. So our last segment, we'll spin the wheel like we like to do here. I'm actually finishing up putting the names in the wheel of fortune, if you will, here. So we'll give that away at 2:45. And thanks to everyone who supports our foundation. Again, if you want to keep up to date with the foundation, at Hester Sports on Twitter, Hester Sports Foundation on Instagram.
What's some of the things that you guys, I mean, we know about the giveaway. What's some of the things you're able to do through the foundation?
Our mission is to give to youth athletic teams, some underprivileged teams, maybe teams that can't buy all of the gear that you need, because football is an expensive sport. It's not like soccer where you just roll a ball out there. There's pads, there's stuff that comes with it. So we try to give to some of those teams. We give playground equipment is something to just get kids active again, because as we know, PE classes kind of going away here. Get kids outside, away from the video games. Video games are fun. There's a time and a place for them, but just to get kids active and kids, that wouldn't necessarily have the access to some of these things. We've, built a really good foundation in Shreveport, trying to build it a little bit more here since now it's almost 3 years since we moved back. So trying to get a footprint here in Baton Rouge as well.
Hunt, parting thoughts before we let you go for the.
Called that Muschamp deal this year. I saw that coming. It just looked like to me like the train wasn't going to be able to stay on the tracks. And we talked about it Thursday. I said, look, if things go really sideways on Saturday, what do you think? And they did. Somebody said that's enough.
They found $15 million somewhere.
Yeah.
And this is not exactly the easiest year to find $15 million.
I believe I heard this morning $279,000 per month for the next 49 months. Direct deposit.
Good work if you can get it.
And I heard you say something yesterday, and sometimes press conference stuff sticks with me. When he got fired at Florida, he went to Auburn and they said, you could have probably taken a job, low. He said, I don't want to do that. I want to compete for national championships. So that's why I think, depending on who wants to hire him, what the market is for him, he's far a lot more likely to take a defensive coordinator job at a program that's got a shot than to go down the rungs a couple of times.
It's worked for him before. He gets fired at Florida, goes goes back to Auburn to be the defense coordinator, does it for a year, then he gets the South Carolina job. Now I think that part of his career is probably over, but he can go be the DC at one of those type of places, and then eventually, if he's like, you know what, I'd rather be a head coach, then he can go to a top G5 team or maybe a underperforming Power 5 team, some of the lowest of the low in the conferences that we talked about yesterday.
Were you surprised when he got the South Carolina job in the first place?
Yes.
I was stunned, because you take a guy that's gotten fired from a Florida all right, well, look, if you were close and you just couldn't quite get over the hump. Like, I understood when Miami hired Mark Richt, okay?
Mm-hmm.
He'd been a very solid coach for a long time there. He just couldn't quite get win the last game. But the rest of it was pretty sound. Muschamp wasn't close to that at Florida. So you think you give him less resources? I didn't understand
They'll
that.
go the complete opposite way with this hire.
Yes, yep. They will. And Muschamp will do fine. He'll be a very good
$279,000 for 49 months, yes.
Hour number 3, straight ahead. Hanging with Hester and Hanny, 104.5 ESPN Baton.
Hanging with Hester and Hanny.
You may not know about the 4 Kids Foundation, but you've probably heard of the Zurich Classic. And the Zurich Classic exists because of 4 kids. But it's what happens after the tournament that really counts. 100% of the proceeds are donated by the 4 Kids Foundation to hundreds of local charities, totaling more than $40 million, all to help local children and families in need. 4 Kids helps kids through golf, because every child deserves a shot at a brighter future.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Are you a licensed contractor? There's lots of good contractors in Louisiana doing work the right way, but unfortunately, too many unlicensed contractors are working outside the licensing requirements. Working as a contractor in Louisiana requires a license for the company doing the work. The Louisiana State Licensing Board for Contractors wants to help you get licensed to allow you to conduct work legally. It's not difficult to get the license. We can help you. Go to Elation. Licensed contractors. It's the law.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is a local bank with a straightforward philosophy.
It's about doing the right thing for our customers.
Participating in our community with annual local fundraisers. Offering individual attention in a modern banking atmosphere with a trusted local company. Gulf Coast Bank invested in technology with a local touch, giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime.
We're building relationships through personal service as the bank that cares about you.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
This isn't just another day. It's so much more. Kelly's life was put on hold when her auctioneer primary care doctor discovered a rare blood disorder. Her doctor connected her to an auctioneer care team of cancer, heart, and kidney specialists. With multiple primary care locations around Baton Rouge, same-day appointments, and online scheduling, we're relentless about keeping you healthy. Auctioneer Baton Rouge, innovating healthcare for Kelly.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
ServiceMaster Elite create clean, disinfected work environments. As a local business, we take pride in serving the New Orleans and Baton Rouge areas. Our cleaning protocols follow CDC and OSHA standards for healthcare settings, offices, senior living, restaurants, and industrial plants. Contact ServiceMaster Elite to get your operation ready for reopening with germ disinfection cleaning. ServiceMaster Elite, the trusted choice in professional cleaning since 1996.
At All-Star Toyota, you get it all. If you're in the market for an all-new Toyota vehicle, come see our friendly and knowledgeable sales team at All-Star Toyota. Located in Baton Rouge at the corner of Airline and Goodwood, we've been serving our community since 2005 by offering a large selection of new Toyota cars, trucks, and SUVs. Get behind the wheel of your dream car and take a test drive at All-Star Toyota today.
Callahan Injury Lawyers.
This is SportsCenter.
I'm Christine Lisi. Here's what's happening. Theo Epstein stepping down as Cubs president of baseball operations, saying it was time for a change. His Chicago tenure includes the team's first World Series championship since 1908. GM Jed Hoyer takes over for Epstein. ESPN's Ed Werder reports Saints quarterback Jrue Brees going for a second opinion as he seeks to determine the full scope of his chest injuries. Additional opinions will help New Orleans determine whether Brees should be put on IR, meaning he'd miss at least 3 games. In Brees' absence, the Saints' best chance at winning lies with Jameis Winston, believes ESPN's Jeff Saturday.
Winston is more than capable of winning football games. It's just a matter of turnovers. Now, the difference in philosophy from Brees to Winston about driving the ball down is a little bit different. But man, Sean, listen, one thing about Sean Payton, he believes in Sean Payton's ability to call plays, and we all know that, right? And you got to trust it.
Jeff Saturday with Keyshawn Johnson, Jay Williams, and Zubin Mehenti. Wichita State basketball coach Greg Marshall resigned after an internal investigation into allegations of physical and verbal abuse made by former players. He'll receive an over $7 million buyout.
We're back on Wednesday, and Notre Dame is up to number 2 in the country thanks to the play of quarterback Ian Book. He joins us Wednesday at 9:30 on Keyshawn, Jay Will, and Zubin on ESPN Radio.
Hangin with Hester and Hanny on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge and 1130 The Tiger.
Hey, is Mardi Gras really Mardi Gras without parades?
False. So no.
I think Mardi Gras without Mardi Gras without parades is Tuesday.
Yeah.
Just thought I'd ask somebody. Josh, this would be a question for you.
So like you said, it's just a Tuesday.
It's
just a Tuesday.
Any
and
other
a crappy one at that.
Any other Tuesday. Okay. Just thought I would ask. The Chris Doering segment will be next, about 15 minutes from now. We're brought to you by Richards Honda, home of the warm and fuzzy feeling. Josh Ward on the audio board, Paul O'Neill on the video board. We started the day with the big trade between the Pelicans and the Bucks that will net New Orleans an awful lot of draft capital and will send Jrue Holiday. It was not surprising at all about the trade, but we don't see this very often. Did you hear what Oleh Kosel said? The first thing when I asked him about the trade was, "I'm happy for Jrue Holiday."
Yeah,
I heard a lot of that from media members and just some other, maybe a couple of NBA players that kind of opined on it on Twitter, which was, man, we appreciate everything that guy did, but good on him because he's going to have a chance to compete for a championship. You don't often hear that. Most of the time, it's if a guy is traded, sometimes he's traded under bad circumstances. Hey, you weren't a fit, man.
Yeah.
Get out. Or you weren't a good player. Get out. Or you got into some kind of trouble. Get out. Or we're just
You're asking for too much money.
Yeah, right. It's contract problem. We're more interested in what we're getting. Almost all the reaction I've seen is like, you know what? Really good trade for New Orleans, but good for Jrue Holiday. There's not very few. I don't know that I've ever heard anybody say anything negative about that guy. He plays hard. He's a good teammate. He's obviously a very dedicated family person. He went through some very difficult times when his wife was sick, and took the time off from basketball to take care of that. Everybody likes him. He'll fit in great up in Milwaukee. I don't know if they'll win a championship. A lot of things have to fall into place, but everybody likes that guy. So good on him.
Seemed like a great teammate. We know he played two-way basketball, which in this day and age in basketball, not a lot of guys do. It's either one or the other. You have a specialty or you don't, and you really don't see guys play both. This is a guy that averaged 19 points a game a year ago, and he was typically on your best guy. Unless he was a big, he was on your best guy. Sometimes he would play the bigs. So, this is a guy that you have a lot of respect for. He did a lot in the city in his time in New Orleans. And so, absolutely. You're happy for the guy to have the ability to go to a team away from the gauntlet that is the West, and you go to the East and you pair up with a superstar. So, best of luck. And again, the Pelicans got a really good haul for him. They got a superstar haul for a player that's a really, really good player, but not quite a superstar. So this is a win-win, in my opinion, for both parties.
Kevin Durant called him the best on-ball defender in the league. And I remember the series when New Orleans had won the only playoff series they won during the Anthony Davis era, and they played Golden State in the second round. They were outmatched. It was a bad Golden State was a bad matchup for everybody that year for 3 or 4 years. But he was trying to guard Durant, and he was doing the best he could. And he wasn't doing, nobody can guard Durant. He's 6'10", and he can shoot the ball from 30 feet. But Holiday, after the series, Durant saying, you know what, that's the best defender that I've seen. And Durant's probably 6 inches taller than him. I thought that's pretty heady praise from a player of Durant's caliber for Holiday.
Yeah, because other names are typically thrown out there from experts and people that watch the game, but for someone who is one of the best offensive players in the last 25 years in the NBA, to say that, very high praise.
Yeah. The other story down in New Orleans, of course, is Jameis Winston, who will most likely, Sean Payton, I don't know who trying to be coy or whatever. I get he's not going to gain anything, but he's, why would we tell everybody who the starting quarterback? Okay, we know who your starting quarterback's going to be. Tomorrow gets into game week for New Orleans. So you tell me.
It's only Tuesday?
Today's Tuesday.
Good God. All right.
You got a playoff game tonight, man. Try to focus. So what's game week like for Jameis Winston? First time as a starter, starting tomorrow.
It started today. He's there. Tuesday is the NFL off day. Everyone gets as far away from the facility as they can typically during a typical week.
Yeah.
Even the quarterbacks will maybe go up there, but sometimes they'll say, hey, come over to the house. Let's watch some tape in that kind of scenario. But he was there this morning. There is no doubt in my mind he was there, and he knows the offense. He's been there long enough, but he was there this morning. I'm sure that there was some coaches, maybe not the coordinator, maybe not Sean Payton. Sean in the building, but they were there. They were watching tape this morning. They were game planning this morning, and they're going through it. Taysom Hill was there. There's no question about it. And they're preparing to be starters. I can guarantee you that game plan started already. So for me, there's not going to be an excuse. And I don't think anybody out of the New Orleans Saints camp will use an excuse. You've got a veteran quarterback who started a lot of games. What's the number?
74.
Okay, 74 games in his NFL career and has thrown for 19,000 yards, I think, is the number like that we had yesterday. He's ready. Okay, get the game plan together, go out there and win the football games you're supposed to win. That's the mentality I guarantee you in that building.
You had a great dad tweet last night because your boys were getting ready to play in a playoff game. He said, "I never got nervous when I was playing, but I'm nervous watching." And of course, it's because you can't control it. It's a completely understandable and reasonable thing for a dad. How would you have felt though? Would you have ever felt pressure if you knew over the next 4 games? Maybe the rest of your career was hanging in the balance, and the difference in how you played the next 4 weeks might be the difference between $1 or $2 million and $80 or $100 million. And I'm really not making this up. Bridgewater went from $7 million to $60 million. $7 million was what was guaranteed on his last Saints contract. $60 million was what was guaranteed on his Panthers contract. For Jameis, it's even more because he's making a little over $1 million, and if he's going to be a starter or not in the league is not known. But we'll know in a month. I think he's definitely got 3 weeks. Maybe he's got 4. Maybe he's got a little bit more than that. Would you have been nervous if your entire future maybe lay in the balance in the next 4 weeks?
Yeah, it sounds crazy, but I don't think you can be, because if you are nervous, if you allow that to creep into your mind, then you're going to play timid. You're going to play not to make mistakes, and we all know that's when you make the mistakes, when you maybe hold on to the ball a second longer because you're not confident in what you see in the coverage. You're not confident in your film study, and so he's got to go out there and play loose, and he's got to obviously take care of the football, which he hasn't done in his career, but he's got to trust all the things that Sean Payton has taught him in their time together, because these next 4 games could be the difference in you being in the league 2 more years or 10 more years. And I mean that. If he goes out there and he stinks it up for 4 games, he's not going to be a starter again unless somebody gets hurt. Okay, if he goes out there and he shines, he has the potential to parlay that into another 10 years, maybe 8 as a starter, 2 as a backup, however long he wants to play.
$100 million or more. I've been doing radio all my life. If you told me the next 4 weeks worth of shows was going to determine my earning potential for the rest of my life, I might think about it a little bit.
You don't think about the show normally?
I do think about. I do nothing but think about this show. I mean, think about it in terms of the last thing I ever get when this mic is turned on is nervous. But I might actually start to think about it was like we're gonna judge every sentence, we're gonna judge every number, we're gonna judge every segment. And at the end of 4 weeks, we'll get back with you. Right. It's the whole Glengarry Glen Ross thing. You either get the new Cadillac or you get fired. Well, that's a pretty big difference,
Yep. And so
I'm not shooting for the set of steak knives in the middle either.
No, I don't need any steak knives. So to me, Jameis doesn't seem like a guy who's going to allow this moment to be too big, just because he's had too many big moments in his life.
Played a national championship game.
All the way back to high school. He's just state championship games. He's in a national championship game, like you mentioned. He was the number 1 pick. He's been the starter. He's been that guy. To me, it's all about his preparation and how he prepares for this game. And has he learned enough under Sean Payton and that staff to take care of the football in those moments, those moments where he seems to forget exactly what the situation is and he gives the other team the ball? Has he learned enough from that? And then if he goes out there and throws an interception, that's not the end of the world.
You don't have to be perfect.
He doesn't have to. Exactly. If he goes out there and he makes a mistake, it's okay. It's the rest of it. What did you do after you made that mistake? How did you handle adversity, okay? Did you press too much? Did you try to make too many plays? No, this is a guy that, if I'm the Saints, I've got to move forward like I've got a starting quarterback, because I do. I've got a guy that's done it 74 times. I can't hold back. I can't say – this isn't the same situation that Ensminger's dealing with two freshman quarterbacks, where he's got to hold back a little bit of the playbook because they don't know the information. They haven't been through enough fires yet to learn it as fast as other guys that have been here 3 or 4 years. Jameis doesn't have that excuse. He's a professional. So I fully expect the game plan to be the game plan. Last year they held back a little bit with Teddy. I don't expect that with Jameis this year.
Chris Doring, when we come back, we are brought to you by Richards Honda, home of the warm and fuzzy feeling. Hanging with Hester and Hanny, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Hanging with Hester and Hanny.
All right, brought to you in part by the Tiger Athletic Foundation. I tell you, every single day as a former LSU student athlete, I know exactly what they mean to the success of the program, not only on the field, but in the classroom as well, the Cox Communication Building. I tell you all the time, man, that really set us up for success. We also know that there's some adversity all over the place with LSU athletics when it comes to this 2020 year, that a lot of people are facing that adversity. But we've got to go, and that go has to continue. That go cannot stop. We have got to make sure that we are still supporting, right? And so the Tiger Athletic Foundation has put together the Victory Fund to help it out. You can learn more information and you can donate, because your donations are very critical to the success and the future of LSU athletics. Please visit victory.lsutaf.org today for more information.
Saints coverage, Chiefs, Cowboys, Thursday night, Sunday night, and Monday Night Football. From the opening kickoff to the playoffs and the Super Bowl, the NFL lives on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
To all of our heroes working on the front lines of this COVID-19 pandemic, your bravery and selflessness represent the very best of us, and we want to say thank you. I'm asking everyone around the state to join me in celebrating the heroism of our healthcare professionals on the 19th of every month at 1900 hours, that's 7 p.m. Write a note of appreciation, make plans to donate to charitable organizations, or say a prayer. To learn more, visit 19thanks.org. Thank you, and God bless.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is a local bank with a straightforward philosophy.
It's about doing the right thing for our customers.
Participating in our community with annual local fundraisers. Offering individual attention in a modern banking atmosphere with a trusted local company. Gulf Coast Bank invested in technology with a local touch, giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime.
We're building relationships through personal service as the bank that cares about you.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
If I built a van, it would do more than haul.
It would carry my entire business. I'd make it available in dozens, if not thousands of configurations.
It would keep an eye on my fleet.
And an eye out for danger.
If I built a van, I'd make it available in diesel and gas. And I'd build it right here in South Carolina.
Introducing the all-new Sprinter, starting at $33,790. Built in the USA. Mercedes-Benz. Vans. Born to run.
T-Bob Hebert here with breaking news. Front to Back Boat Services is the shop to upgrade your boat tech this fall. With not one but two NMEA certified techs, who better to install your Panoptic sonar, your HD displays. You want to see the fish under the water before you even cast? They have that. Trolling motor you could control with your iPhone? They have that. So what are you waiting for? Get into Front to Back Boat Services right now. Upgrade your boat tech. Make your boating dreams come true. Front to Back Boat Services.
This is a house call. This is a follow-up appointment. This is a diabetes checkup. This isn't just more convenient care, it's more advanced care. This is innovating healthcare at Louisiana's #1 hospital. Auctioner.
You may not know about the 4Kids Foundation, but you've probably heard of the Zurich Classic. And the Zurich Classic exists because of 4 kids. But it's what happens after the tournament that really counts. 100% of the proceeds are donated by the 4Kids Foundation to hundreds of local charities, totaling more than $40 million, all to help local children and families in need. 4Kids helps kids through golf. because every child deserves a shot at a bright.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona inviting you to join us for Tuesday's AFR, presented by Insurance Network of Louisiana. The latest on Drew Brees' injury. Larry Holder will join us, and we'll start previewing LSU and Arkansas. Join us 3 to 6, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Hangin' with Hester and Hanny on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge and 1130 The Tiger.
We have a change. Change in the schedule. There was an emergency meeting called.
Yeah, I'll call him out. You know what? I give all this praise to the Florida Gators over the last couple of weeks. I talk about Kyle Trask in my first class. And our guy Doring. Look, just because it's Doring Mortgage Company, when something happens, that doesn't mean that you have to run and fix it. Okay, yeah.
It kind of does.
It kind of does. So CD had an emergency. Don't worry. He'll come back probably tomorrow for his normal SEC hit.
Okay, so this is our SEC segment, so we can do that.
We've watched a couple games.
We're pretty well versed in this. The league has got almost a full slate this weekend. So far, only Ole Miss and Texas A&M have been called off. So we've got a chance. Got a chance to get most of the schedule in, right?
This is a pivotal weekend because if you don't, what do you do? I don't know what they're going to do with Texas A&M already because A&M is a real contender to find a way, if some things in front of them happen, to get into the college football playoff. And they're the team right now that's going to have multiple games to make up. And let's call it like it is. This Ole Miss game is not a gimme with that offense and what Ole Miss can do. So there's going to be people that are in the same position as Texas A&M saying, wait a minute, they need to play that game.
There's going to be games called off and not rescheduled. And the league will pool their money and they'll compensate the teams that end up not playing the full amount of games. What else can they do? If they end up at a spot where LSU Ole Miss needs to be canceled, then they'll pool their money and they'll compensate the schools and they'll say, listen, for the good of the league, we need to have Texas A&M play whoever that week and LSU. We need to have. We went through this a little bit yesterday. We need to have Alabama play. We need to have Florida play. We need to have Texas A&M play. When they get to week 10, they don't really need, other than from a money standpoint, to have LSU and Ole Miss play. They don't. It's not going to be a game that determines a championship. It's not going to be a game that determines a division winner. It's a game, and if they have to sacrifice a game, you put LSU's games in order the rest of the way, in order of importance to the league. Not to LSU, to the league.
Yeah.
LSU Alabama is first, LSU Florida is second, LSU A&M is third, and LSU Ole Miss is fourth. So if you have to end up canceling a game because you run out of dates, that's the one.
Let's kind of remind our audience exactly what's scheduled right now for December the 12th. You've got Texas A&M at Tennessee. Okay, well, Texas A&M, as we know this week, they've got another situation. You have LSU at Florida. We also know that LSU needs Alabama as a makeup as well. You've got Auburn at Mississippi State, and you've got Vanderbilt at Mizzou. That's the games that are currently scheduled for December the 12th, with multiple teams in that scenario that have games they still need to make up.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but all of those games that were scheduled for December the 12th were all tentative, right? None of them were, including LSU Florida, were not etched in stone for just this reason, if they had to adjust again. We did the story earlier today on the ACC. Their problem was with Miami. They had to move 3 Miami games around. So they had to move the subsequent games that involved Miami's original opponents back somewhere in the schedule. And we went through all that. So it ended up being, I think it was 6 or 7 games that ended up being rescheduled for the last 3 weeks of the season. Sankey was very clear. We'll play this weekend as it's scheduled. After that, we're going to sit down and take a look at this. Today's only Tuesday. I hope, to all get out that the rest of the games get played this weekend. You're only down this one. If not, you're going to have to make even more adjustments. But I think that's what they'll say. They'll get into the league office on Sunday morning and say, this is what we've got down. This is what we've got left to play. What games do we absolutely, positively have to have played?
So
among our contenders.
As I look at the schedule for next week, of course, it's crazy. We're already talking about the Iron Bowl being next week. We're at that point.
It's Thanksgiving next week.
In the schedule, that's nuts to me. Tennessee at Vanderbilt, that's a game that, if you want A&M to make up that game with Tennessee, that's a potential landing spot for that game.
Don't need to have Tennessee and Vanderbilt.
You
play.
Don't. So there can be some movement. It's just you have to know you're probably going to hurt some feelings. But sorry, you're going to make someone angry. Well, sorry, we have to do what we have to do to make the best case for the SEC. They're not just thinking of one team. They're thinking of 14 teams, and really when you scale it down, right now they're trying to think of their contenders, like you just mentioned. So if you get bumped, now that game's supposed to be at Vandy. The other game was supposed to be at Tennessee. I think they keep it the same. I think if it was supposed to be there, they're going to keep it there. But
let's talk about money. You get your TV money anyway.
Yeah.
You're going to, even if you play one less game, if it's not your fault, then you will get your fair share, an equal share, your TV money. So now we're talking about the gate receipts, which are way down. You're talking about a limited capacity. What game was scheduled for Vanderbilt? They're hardly letting anybody in the stadium.
Nobody. I mean,
a handful of people, 1,000 students or whatever it was the last time. So you figure out the money some kind of way, but you give them the fair share of TV money, and you say we got to put these things in order, and you might not get them all in. That's just how that worked. If it were last year, and I'm so glad that last year wasn't this year. Then LSU would have been at the top. It would have been like, look, no, LSU's number 1 in the country, number 2 in the country. They got to play all their games.
And you can't, If LSU didn't play Alabama last year, they would have had to play that game. I mean, the other contenders would have wanted that game played. LSU would have wanted it. Bama, I mean, everybody would have wanted that.
That game has to be played. Among the games that are going to be played this weekend, you got a lot. This is as much as a have and have not year in the SEC. Alabama's a 31-point favorite. Georgia's a 25-point favorite this weekend. Florida is a 31.5-point favorite this weekend. There are a couple. Even Auburn is a 10.5-point favorite, and they've been sort of up and down. They're coming off of what is the last game they played?
Auburn's LSU.
That's the last game Auburn played too.
Yes.
Huh? Yeah,
it's been a 21-day layoff for them as well. Let's call the slate like it is. There's going to be some bad matchups. Even so,
Missouri, South Carolina is what qualifies as one of the more even matchups, and they just fired their coach. the matchup in the league that is the most even is LSU and Arkansas.
Yeah.
By the way, that line's down to 1.
Yeah, it was 3. So
a little bit of LSU
that down. So Vanderbilt's always been like the team to Florida that Arkansas has been to LSU. It's like it doesn't really matter. They're going to give you a battle. It's going to be a weird game. They're going to play up, whatever.
They had the fight last year,
in
right?
that game. Yeah, and that game is in Nashville. It's at 11 a.m. That doesn't matter. Everything I just said doesn't matter because Florida is going to name their score. If they want to score 65, they're going to score 65. Now, how they handle that game, if Emory Jones comes in because they don't want Kyle Trask out there in the third, fourth quarter, okay, but that's going to be one of the uglier games you'll ever see.
Well, if they're going to name their score, could you tell me what the name of the score is going to be? Because that would be some valuable information.
Well, no, because Vanderbilt's probably not going to hold up their end of it. Whatever that total is, it's going to be all from Florida.
Last week, you know how I am with totals in college football. It's like bet unders at your own risk. They stop the clock a million times. If you get into overtime, I'd like to know what the percentage is of college overtime games that have ended up under the total in the last 10 years, because I would imagine it's under 5%. But last week's game between Vanderbilt and Kentucky, I said, well, you know what, this is one of those games that might end up 13-7.
Yeah.
And ended up 38-35. So I'm perfectly willing to say that if Florida's going to put up 51 points. Vanderbilt may chip in their 14.
Okay.
They can do that. You get to, well, it's 68, not 65. My eyes are going bad. My eyes went out of focus there for a second. It's 68, not 60. So they got to chip in 17 to get to a push. You know what? I'm sorry. I'm not going to be able to watch Vanderbilt in Florida because LSU's on at the same time. So probably won't be switching back and forth very much.
No, I don't think you will be either. You can keep up with that one on the old lap.
Hanging with Hester and Hanny, presented by Richard's Honda, home with a warm, fuzzy feeling. 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Hangin' with Hester and Hanny. In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com.
Do you know someone who sets a good example for all of us to follow? Someone who, without being asked, shows leadership, selflessness, and service to their community? We believe that's the definition of a good citizen, and so does Citizens Bank and Trust.
So, if you know someone that sounds like what Jordy was just describing, nominate them to be your good citizen, and they'll have a chance to win $500 from Citizens Bank and Trust. Plus, we'll mention him right here on the show. So go to citizensbankandtrust.com for more details and nominate your good citizen.
If I built a van, it would do more than haul.
It would carry my entire business. I'd make it available in dozens. Make that thousands of configurations.
It would keep an eye on my fleet.
In and eye out for danger.
If I built a van, I'd make it available in diesel and gas. And I'd build it right here in South Carolina.
Introducing the all-new Sprinter, starting at $33,790. Built in the USA. Mercedes-Benz. Vans. Born to run.
I'm feeling good. So good. I just thought you should know.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is a local bank with a straightforward philosophy.
It's about doing the right thing for our customers.
Participating in our community with annual local fundraisers, offering individual attention in a modern banking atmosphere with a trusted local company. Gulf Coast Bank invested in technology with a local touch, giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime.
We're building relationships through personal service as the bank that cares about you.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
This isn't just another day. It's so much more. Kelly's life was put on hold when her auctioneer primary care doctor discovered a rare blood disorder. Her doctor connected her to an auctioneer care team of cancer, heart, and kidney specialists. With multiple primary care locations around Baton Rouge, same-day appointments, and online scheduling, we're relentless about keeping you healthy. Auctioneer Baton Rouge, innovating healthcare for Kelly.
At All-Star Toyota, you get it all. If you're in the market for an all-new Toyota vehicle, come see our friendly and knowledgeable sales team at All-Star Toyota. Located in Baton Rouge at the corner of Airline and Goodwood, we've been serving our community since 2005 by offering a large selection of new Toyota cars, trucks, and SUVs. Get behind the wheel of your dream car and take a test drive at All-Star Toyota today.
ServiceMaster Elite create clean, disinfected work environments. As a local business, we take pride in serving the New Orleans and Baton Rouge areas. Our cleaning protocols follow CDC and OSHA standards for healthcare settings, offices, senior living, restaurants, and industrial plants. Contact ServiceMaster Elite to get your operation ready for reopening with germ disinfection cleaning. ServiceMaster Elite, the trusted choice in professional cleaning since 1996.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
Toyotathon is happening now at Coel Toyota in Opelousas.
Get into a 20 Camry for $297 a month.
So come on down to Happy Town for Toyotathon. That's Coel Toyota in Opelousas.
Happy Town, USA.
Coming up on Wednesdays Off the Bench, we'll look forward to LSU Arkansas and Saints Falcons, Sans Drew Brees. Plus, Booger McFarland stops by to talk NFL and Tigers.
and a brand new Would You Rather Wednesday. Off the Bench, 104.5 ESPN.
Hangin' with Hester and Hanny on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge and 1130 The Tiger.
And we got so many uncertainties about the postseason, but our friends over at the Senior Bowl are giving it, shall I say, the old college try. They're still proceeding like they're.
Yeah, Jim Nagy's one of the best people you'll find in the game of football, and so I can promise you, if it's able to be done, he'll get it done. And we found out today 3 LSU Tigers accepted their invites to the Senior Bowl: Jabril Cox, Racy McMath, and Kerry Vincent.
So Vincent has been working out on his own, and they're still going to take players that have opted out of the season. How do you feel about if you were an athlete that were in this position, that you would be out of football activities for almost a year? In fact, right, almost exactly a year, save for 3 days of spring football.
Mm-hmm.
You know, put football gear on. You've been working out. You're in good shape.
Right.
But you're going from January of 2020 to January of 2021. You're going to play one game, and then you're going to move. You're not going to really put pads on again until camp. I mean, not even mini camp, really.
Yeah, you don't put pads on
till July.
Yeah.
So that one game in the middle, it's an important game because there's a lot of eyeballs on it, especially the practices. But what's that like in your body?
I don't know. We'll find out in a lot of cases
Challenging,
here
huh?
for college football guys that opted out or whatever. And look, and you can say, wait a minute, guys get hurt all the time and they're out for this period of time. And, yeah, you'd be right there. But we've seen a lot of guys try to come back from injury and just not been the same.
Well, it takes you a little bit of time.
Yeah.
To sometimes it's not just knock the rust off. It's get your body into.
So these guys are going to have to do a really nice job. The guys that opted out of trying to do workouts in full pads, trying to get some other guys together, and maybe you thud around for a little bit. So it's going to be challenging for some of these guys. And believe you me, when I say the Senior Bowl practices are intense, they're like something you've never seen before.
Way more than the game, right?
Way more. Yeah, the game, it's still competitive because you know who's watching, but everybody's kind of gone by that point. That first Senior Bowl practice, when you're just in shells, you're not even in full pads, it's like the biggest game you've ever played. Everybody is going 100% and then some because they know who's watching, and you better be ready. It's physical. I mean, it's one of the most physical things that I did was that first practice.
I'm trying to remember which guest it was we had last week that said, we were asking about the combine. Are they even going to have a combine? They're going to have a combine.
Yeah.
The NFL has, more than any other sport, been pretty steadfast about keeping their schedule, more so than Major League Baseball, more so than the NBA. Now, they did catch a break in that the pandemic hit in their off season. But even when it came down to reschedule, are you playing less games? We'll cancel the exhibition season, but we're playing the rest of them. What about the draft? No, we're having the draft. What about the post? No, we're having the postseason. Well, what about next year? Do you really need to have the combine? We're having the combine. Yeah. What about the senior? We're having the Senior Bowl. What about the draft? We may not have it with people at it. We're having the draft again next year. More so than any, they figured out ways to do it. It hasn't always been perfect. They've had obstacles to overcome. The Titans, maybe the most prevalent, but they've had others as well. But they keep their schedule, and they want the Senior Bowl played. They need the Senior Bowl practices. They want that evaluation period. They've got less games, and they've got less tape on guys that opted out than they ever would have. And maybe they will figure out a way that the combine is more separated. It may go on over a longer period of time so they have less people in the same place at the same time. They may have to distance it. You may have to do your interviews virtually. Some of those one-on-one interviews, which I don't think they want to do either, because I think they want to look you in the eye. You've been in those interviews. They want to talk to you. They want They want to get a feel for what you're like, but they're gonna figure out a way to get it done. They're not. Why don't you guys? They ain't canceling nothing.
They haven't.
They have not, other than the exhibition season, which they were
Which the owners
moving
have been
towards.
wanting anyways.
No, I wouldn't say that. The owners like the exhibition season because
No, but they want to add. They want to take away two because they know they have to take away it to add two to the back end. So
They always, for years, they always charge the same amount for the preseason games to the season ticket holders. I mean, it's the biggest ripoff in sports. So they got those dollars, and they got some local TV dollars out of it as well. The people that wanted the preseason cut down was the union. They wanted
without
fewer
adding games though. The owners know that if they take away the preseason, they could add it to the regular season. So they're all in favor of doing that.
Well, they finally got to that point.
Don't you dare take up for the owners here on this show.
I'm not taking up for the. I'm telling you that their stance was they weren't going to lose any money on the deal. They could add to the regular season, which the union was adamantly opposed to forever.
But we have a weak union that will probably crumble.
Well, they like money.
No, they prioritize money over
I was always of the opinion that adding another game to the playoff, you could make up the money with the playoff dollars from just one extra game in each conference. You realize what ESPN pays for that one wild card game? It's obnoxious. It's somewhere in the area of $80-90 million bucks.
Yeah.
I mean, it's an obnoxious amount of money. Just one game. I would rather watch one postseason NFL game than 30 preseason games. There's just no comparison between the two. So if you can make the money back, then that's the way to do it. So they'll figure out a way with the Senior Bowl to do it. It may look a little bit different. The practices may be, I don't know, at different times. They may practice, the linemen in the morning and the receivers and the defensive backs in the afternoon, just do individual drills and don't do really much team at all. They may, cut back on the amount of team practice. They're going to figure out a way to do it.
I know Jim Nagy, and I know a lot of people involved. They're going to figure it out, and they're going to have team. They're going to have 11 on 11.
No, I know, but it may be less of that. No.
If they cut things back, it ain't going to be that. They will find a way.
Cut back the individuals.
When it goes 11 on 11 in senior, so you have your individual periods, and there's scouts like kind of just walking around taking notes. When you go 11 on 11, it's like, whoo, they all just, it's like they have a circle around you, basically. So I believe in my guy, Jim. Let's have Jim on this week. Let's ask him.
Why don't you ask him if he'll come on the show? And we'll reschedule during for tomorrow.
Florida Gators. Tell you what.
That's what you get for being nice. You're on the Trask bandwagon now, so
nah, you can't say I'm a bandwagon. I was
not bandwagon.
Okay,
but you're
okay.
I like the kid too, but you'll explain that to during hopefully tomorrow. All right, Ask Us is next in the Bayou Ford chat. Hanging with Hester and Hanny, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Hanging with Hester and Hanny. Off the Bench, Hanging with Hester and Hanny, after further review and more, are all live daily on the 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge YouTube channel. Subscribe now to interact with us inside the live chat driven by Bayou Ford.
Posso offrire un caffè? Andiamo insieme da me, non c'è.
Call Mr. Electric today for electrical repairs, upgrades, and installations.
What do Honda lovers look forward to this time of year? Aside from family, turkey, and pie, happy Honda Days at Richard's Honda. It's that time of year when everything is at clearance prices, and since we're stocked up on inventory, you'll have plenty to choose from. Over 700 in stock at transparent prices. Happy Honda Days makes happy customers. Come see why people call Richard's Honda the smart choice. I-12 at Millerville Road and richardshonda.com.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is a local bank with a straightforward philosophy.
It's about doing the right thing for our customers.
Participating in our community with annual local fundraisers, offering individual attention in a modern banking atmosphere with a trusted local company. Gulf Coast Bank invested in technology with a local touch, giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime.
We're building relationships through personal service as the bank that cares about you.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
Are you a licensed contractor? There's lots of good contractors in Louisiana doing work the right way, but unfortunately, too many unlicensed contractors are working outside the licensing requirements. Working as a contractor in Louisiana requires a license for the company doing the work. The Louisiana State Licensing Board for Contractors wants to help you get licensed to allow you to conduct work legally. It's not difficult to get the license. We can help you. Go to lacontractor.org for more information. Licensed contractors, it's the law.
If I built a van, it would do more than haul.
It would carry my entire business. I'd make it available in dozens. Make that thousands of configurations.
It would keep an eye on my fleet.
In and eye out for danger.
If I built a van, I'd make it available in diesel and gas. And I'd build it right here in South Carolina.
Introducing the all-new Sprinter, starting at $33,790. Built in the USA. Mercedes-Benz. Vans. Born to run.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona inviting you to join us for Tuesday's AFR, presented by Insurance Network of Louisiana. The latest on Drew Brees' injury. Larry Holder will join us, and we'll start previewing LSU in Arkansas. Join us 3 to 6, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Hangin with Hester and Hanny on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge and 1130 The Tiger.
And we are ready for Ask Us in the Bayou 4 chat. But first, it's time to give away our Honey Badger gear.
All right, here we go. So Paul O'Neill, who's way smarter than me, figured out a way to put this on the back screen here. So we've got all of the names. So if you put an entry in, your name's on here, and if you put multiple entries in here, we just scrambled the names all apart. We've got a nice little picture of the jersey, even though it's sideways. I couldn't figure out how to get this thing the right way up. But you know what? It's nice. It's a big, nice picture. You can tilt your head. You can see it. You can see a lot of names. Again, thank you for your support. It means a lot to me and my family, and we'll have some more of these. We'll probably have one actually next week. So let us know what players you want to see some stuff from, maybe players that get you excited. We've had Joe Burrow. We've had Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Now we've had the Honey Badger. So that's 3 pretty good ones. So,
no, that's excellent.
Yeah, so now we got to find some more players. All right. You ready, Hanny?
You're
going to be Van White?
I'll be
Van White.
Pat Sajak. Pat Sajak.
I don't know. Let's spin this
All
thing.
right, go ahead.
Makes for great dead air here when we're spinning this thing. And remember, it does
click around for a while.
Does click around for a couple times here.
How many entries did you get?
I don't know. A lot. Ooh. How do you pronounce that one? Joseph, you're the winner. I don't know, Joseph, if you can see. Lamar Tinery?
No. I'm working my way through it, but that ain't right. Lamartinaire.
Okay, yeah, you're probably
What do you think? You want to
yeah,
take a shot at that?
Yep. So Joseph,
Lamartiniere. Lamartinaire.
Sure.
If it's Lamartiniere, man, I gave it a shot.
Yeah, I mean that's what I said.
Try.
But you know what? It doesn't matter. Congratulations again. Thank you for your support. We'll reach out to you just in case. We know you're listening. Of course you're listening. But if you're not, we'll reach out to the winner. We'll notify him. And again, stay tuned for the next raffle at Hester Sports on Twitter, at Hester Sports Foundation on Instagram. Again, thank you. Can't say that enough.
Very cool stuff. All right, ask us in the Bayou Ford chat. This is from Greg. If Florida does not win the national championship, do you think Trask comes back? And if he does declare for the draft, what round does he go in?
Trask in the draft right now, to me, I think he's in the 20-25 range.
I think he's approaching the first round. I would say somewhere between the end of the first round and the beginning of the second. If I had to put how many picks are you going to give me? What kind of range? 5 picks, 10 picks, 6 picks, something like that?
Yeah, 5 picks. Yeah.
Give me 29 to 34, something like that, with more of an emphasis on the first 3 picks, because if you with the quarterbacks, and we've seen this happen, we saw this happen with Lamar Jackson, where they want, and Teddy Bridgewater too, they wanted to get into the latter part of the first round to take the quarterback rather than the beginning of the second round because of the fifth-year option. Fifth-year option more important with the quarterbacks, and you get that in the first round pick. So maybe I should say 27 to 32, or 28 to 32 is 5 picks.
I'm not a draft analyst. I know that, but I watch a lot of football, and I've been around a lot of great quarterbacks. There's a lot to like about him, and some of the names in front of him, I think he'll pass up. I think he'll pass Mac Jones up, and Mac Jones is a good football player.
I think him and Mac Jones about what right now.
I think
draft status.
I think there's a little bit. I think I give an edge to Kyle Trask just watching the tape and what they can do, and I think both of them play in the NFL.
What about Zach
both
Wilson?
Have a role.
I think that's the next guy you got to climb over.
I don't know how it's going to take it takes a certain situation for him. He's got a great skill set for someone who wants that skill set. Not everybody loves the guy that runs around, can toss around the Baker Mayfield type skill set. They just don't. Does he have a role for a certain team? Yes, but not every team.
Craig says, National Take a Hike Day. As a playoff of Kick Rocks, who was the last person you told to go fly a kite?
Oh, yeah, we don't say Kick Rocks on this show. We say go fly a kite. So anytime I'm coaching my sons, I try not to yell at the referees. I try not to really talk at the other coaches if somebody's chirping. But look, I spent a lot of time building my reputation. I don't want to ruin it out there at a youth sporting event. But there was a referee last weekend on my son's 5th grade tackle, and if you're listening, I'm sorry, you were bad. He would not call holding. And our defensive line was busting through. And at one point, I look up, and my son is getting held like he is like the kid was skiing. He was holding him like he was skiing and trying to pull him back, the back of his back flap. And they didn't call it. And they scored a touchdown on that play. Hanny, I lost it a little bit. For about 4 seconds, I lost my mind, and he got told to go fly a kite, amongst other things.
Okay.
So I'm not proud. It's not my finest moment, and I try not to do it, like I said. But it had to happen because you know why, Hanny? Who warned him the series before? Hey,
got to watch that.
Got to watch that holding up front. When they get past them, they're kind of grabbing them. Now, the other team was really good, and they won the game. Shout out to the other team. But in that moment, no, bad call.
Okay.
No call. Whatever.
Good one. There was a guy, and I'm gonna for the moment leave out the people down the street from us that were playing music way too loud late Saturday night because they had a band at their house. I'm gonna leave that one out. There was a practice I went to in Omaha 3 years ago. This guy made me this mad that I remember this. So LSU's practicing at one of the high schools, and they practiced at this high school a number of times. I knew where it was, went there, and there's ample parking out behind the outfield. It's just where everybody else was parking. And so I pull up about 15 minutes to practice or something. And I get out of my rental car, my Oldsmobile Buick, whatever, and this guy comes up and he's acting like he's an official something. I still to this day don't know who he was. And he said, "Who are you?" And so I told him my name. And who are you with? And so I told him this way. "We've told you time and time again not to park here." Now, there's no sign.
Yeah.
There's other cars there. I don't know who they belong to. And we have to set up this concession stand to run this fundraiser, and you're in the way. I said, okay, I'll move. Okay. So I take the car, I move it out, I go down the little gravel road, and I park out on the street, which was legal. I'm walking back to go do the interviews at the practice. This guy jumps my ass again. And he's like, "We've told you time. I held it as long as I could. And I turned around and I said, "Nobody told me anything. There ain't a sign.
Yeah.
There's other cars there. I've been to 3 practices here this week already, and ain't nobody told me a bleepity bleep thing."
Did you say bleepity bleep or?
Well, no.
Yeah. Tell him what he missed.
I told him to go fly a kite, and not necessarily in those words. And that was the end of it. And I let him off easy because he came. I was like, blankety blank. I moved my blankety blank car. Yeah. So that's probably the maddest I've been in probably
good for you. That's a very long time ago. I get mad like that all the time.
You remember stupid things.
And I don't. Yeah. By the way, I'm the neighbor that doesn't tell you to turn your music down. I go see what's up. Like,
no. It's not. You can have
like my wife is like always ready to party.
You can't have a band.
Oh yeah, you can.
Not in the yard.
Yeah,
no, you can't.
You don't have any small children.
At 9 o'clock at night. No,
9 o'clock. The band doesn't come on till 9 o'clock. What are you talking?
On a Saturday night.
Oh, Hanny, if you came over to my house at 9 o'clock and told my band to be quiet,
a rock band in a neighborhood.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right, Josh?
We need.
Yes.
Don't ask
I've got
Josh.
Small kids.
I'm just saying, the Christmas party that I have at my house, we don't consider it a party until the police come and say, "Turn the music down."
Well,
yeah, we had a Halloween get together, Handy. You were there, and we had a DJ. Shout out to Happy Gilmore, and
that was a very respectful of your neighbor's party.
There were some people across the lake that were flashing their lights, like, "Hey, it's 11 o'clock. Turn the music down." It's Saturday night.
Happy's done a couple of my Christmas parties.
Yeah, she's great. By the way, you can flick those lights all you want. All it's doing is adding to our party over here. You can strobe them all you want.
Congratulations! I feel old.
Hanny, 9 o'clock. And Hanny, you can party. I've seen you. Island Hanny.
You can't have a rock band in your front yard in a neighborhood. You can't. No, you can't. Not living down the street.
I'm going to ask this one. Ask us. First grade Horns versus Hurricanes. Who you got? That comes from Sam. Hey, let me tell you, the Longhorns can go. They got a kid, I believe, number 7, that can absolutely fly. They've actually got a couple of them. The Hurricanes put a 50 last night in a playoff game. That's going to be the last one who has the ball. That's going to be a good one.
Okay.
It's bad that I know this about all these teams, but I'm in the first grade division in case you're wondering.
You got point spreads or something like that?
Ooh, the over-under, I can give you that one. It's set at 84 right now.
Let's see. Ask us, who do North Louisiana folks consider, or do North Louisiana folks consider Arkansas a rival? I heard Arkansas hates LSU, but no one in South Louisiana cares about Arkansas.
Oh, no. Nobody in North Louisiana cares about Arkansas. Not at all. They consider the same teams that you consider the rival.
Thanks to everybody for participating. For Josh Ward, for Paul O'Neill, for Jacob Hester, I'm Charles Hanagriff saying thank you and good afternoon. Stay tuned for AFR. Hanging with Hester and Hanny, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
We hit, I told him I never tired yet. We hit, I told him that on the block, go hit. We hit, I told him overtime.
Hanging with Hester and Hanny.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba